Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
063 Marketing, Production, and Publishing.
Light it up, burn it down, and turn up.
Trying to keep me copacetic, but these apes are so petty, so pathetic. They throw salt in your game. I mean, a wrench in a well-oiled machine. A monkey shit in your lane, for you can stab it all day wretched. Yet I persevere, invested on the road I wear. Not a tear, successes. The best middle finger for the pessimists, skeptics. Second a scene of breathless, yes. But this a non-violent message. Verses for the weary, I'm living your very lost. Second work hard like I'm in the Bowser's presence. Lost in imperfection, don't leak house to perfection. So I reckon I use the salt you haters through to season my food. And a wrench to tighten my groove, wipe on my shoes, keep it move my direction. Ain't you fools lucky I'm in an enlightened mood? Blessed, fixated my sights, somewhere I'm destined. High heaven, breathe in, reside in the essence. And the words I cry for the words that
I just want to let our fans know so they don't get nervous. You know, Elliot's not wearing a shirt right now for the simple fact that he just came off the soccer field practice, and it is also very hot in this place, and he knows there's a lot of women watching this thing.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's 80 degrees here in Seattle. That never happens in the springtime, so I'm burning up. We don't have AC in our apartments. The windows are open, and I'm trying to enjoy it, man. I'm trying to erase some of this farmer tan, you know?
Well, that's why I told you. You started telling me off the air. It's 80 degrees and I'm sweating and like crazy. I said, do not bring up 80 degrees around me again today. Because it's like, you know, it's like 35 here and there's still snow on the ground, you know, so we don't want to go through all that stuff, you know. But
you had 70 degrees last week and we were overcast and rainy, so I'm not worried about it.
But overcast and rainy is the norm for Seattle, isn't it?
Yeah, but it still isn't good.
I mean, but it's normal. Like, is everyone like extra white in Seattle because it's always raining?
Extra white, man. A lot of white-collar techies out here not getting tan.
Yeah, nice. Well, the reason why I wanted to bring Elliot Fauske on my show tonight, not just because he's a pro indoor soccer player, because he's also an entertainer. And, you know, what I want to try to cover, and the one thing I love about what I'm able to do these days, I'm able to conduct interviews from here, Rochester, in my living room, to anywhere in the country. And I wanted to have that comfort, that feeling of comfort at your home. We're not looking for anything else. We're looking for, you know, nobody's got to be perfect on this interview. I brought you in here, Elliot, because I've known you for a few years now, and you're a very fascinating guy. And you have a huge fan base. Like, ladies and gentlemen, whatever this guy does, people are liking, following, praying, hoping, all kinds of stuff for this guy. And as long as I've been following him online, I really don't see a lot about you. I see a lot of these skits that you do and all this stuff, but I want to just start from the beginning because I want your fans, especially your fans, to really get to know you today during this interview. That's what we're going to try to accomplish. The good, I don't know if there's even bad. I don't even know if there's ugly, but we're going to try to find a little bit of everything there. You okay with that, Elliot?
It's all good. You probably don't have to dig too deep, but yeah.
And nothing is rehearsed. I'm able to ask him whatever I want to ask him because Elliot, famously, when he's got to think about something, it takes a while for him to get it done on film or camera. He'll get nervous. That's what it is. He'll go over in his head and think about it. So this conversation between you and I is just like we're talking normally. And that's what I want to accomplish with this show, is just everyone be comfortable, relax, enjoy, and get to know Elliot Fauske up close and personal. So, you okay with that, Elliot?
Do it, man. It's what you do to me in our free time anyway.
Yeah, you nervous, Elliot? You nervous at all?
A little bit. You're the griller, man.
Yeah. I know all the women probably watch this nervous because you got your shirt off, and probably some of the guys are going to be upset too because they don't have a physique like you and they got to keep their shirt on. They couldn't do it, you know? So, but I'm going to start from the beginning because to me, one thing I've always been fascinated about is, you know, you're a little bit older. You're not in your early 20s. Am I correct? You're in your mid-20s? Late 20s? You're not going to review. Okay, I figured I'd try.
I mean, I'm older than that. I'm trying to figure out if you're serious or not.
I was serious, man.
You know how old I am?
I was going to say...
I'm older than all those.
I was going to say 28 years old.
Dang, we got to hang out more.
Okay, well, we'll tell everyone you're 28 years old.
That's cool.
Seriously, how old are you, Elliot? Because you don't mind. I know you don't.
No, I'm 34.
34 years old. And I always found it... And I was kidding. I found it funny that... you know, you playing soccer this late in your age, and to me, is like, how did you get into soccer at such a later age? Like, were you this kid beating up the playgrounds and, you know, always wanting to play soccer? I mean, how did you fall into the situation where, bam, you're now a pro soccer player? And how old were you when you first signed your first contract?
I was a 30-year-old rookie when I started playing professional indoor soccer. So obviously that's late in the game. I grew up loving sports. Soccer gradually became my favorite. I played it in college. I had a handful of pro tryouts coming out of college. The Seattle Sounders, they're in the MLS now, but back then they were in the second division, which was the A-League. So I could have played for them, you know, on a really low contract. Didn't choose to do that 2 years in a row. Went and tried out in Brazil, did preseason with the team down there in Goiânia. Lived there for a few months, picked up a little Portuguese, and then came back without a contract. So,
what do you mean you picked up a little Portuguese?
Well, I speak Spanish, and so it's similar enough to Portuguese that I can get by. You know, I can communicate.
Right.
So it was a good time, but I didn't get a contract, so I came back.
So how did you? I mean, where did you find the motivation after you went there, tried out, didn't get the contract? At some point, you would think, 30 years of age is sinking in your head. Can I do this? What, you know what I mean? What was going through your head that made you keep? How did you stay focused?
Well, I didn't stay focused. It was more in the back of my mind. So after I didn't make those teams in my early 20s, I took a couple years off. I just traveled around, worked a lot of really odd dead-end jobs all over the place, lived in different parts of the country for a month or two at a time. And then...
You seem to pull that off quite easily, though.
Hey, man, there's couches everywhere.
Since I've known you, you pretty much bank all your money and just couch surf everywhere and make a nice trip.
Yeah, I try to live frugally, man. My value system is if I can stay debt-free, I can be mobile. So yeah, just...
I guess I should have started somewhere else with this interview, because I guess I should have started in the beginning, like, what's little Elliot Fauske? What's he doing, like, as a little kid? Like, what's going on? You know, just, you lead a tough life, normal life? What was going on as a kid?
Good life, man. Grew up suburb Seattle. My dad grew up super poor but stable family. My mom grew up where her dad had money, but there was a lot of, you know, emotional, tough stuff. She basically grew up as a foster kid with her parents in Japan going through a divorce. They sent her and her brother to the U.S. to live with a bunch of older relatives that didn't have a clue about these young little hippie rebellious kids, you know. So my mom was a little teeny bopper hippie rebel. And my dad kind of rebelled against his super conservative upbringing, Norwegian immigrant father, very serious. He grew his hair out long, and his dad didn't talk to him that whole year. And they lived together, you know, stuff like that. So he lit out. He was always hopping trains and hitchhiking and working in the woods. He's always been blue collar. So not super traditional, but at the same time, they had a real stable family for us. They have a great relationship.
So is that why he still has long hair now? I notice he has like a very long beard. It might be probably 3 feet long last time I checked.
He's got 2 dreadlocks coming off his goatee down to his waist.
Wow.
So yeah, he's always, you know, I gotta attribute most of my attention getting to my dad. My mom's quirky in her own way, but my dad is definitely more he loves anything that'll open a conversation he's into. So his face right now is that conversation starter. Plus young people think he's still relevant.
So now you got a sister and a brother. Where do you fall in? Are you the middle child, the older child?
Middle child.
Middle child. So growing up, was your brother older or younger than you?
Younger brother.
So you guys kicking the soccer ball around too and fighting over that?
Nah, man, he's wired different. I was begging him to play with me. He wasn't naturally competitive. He's a decent athlete, you know, but he just didn't. I love to compete. Hated to lose, loved to compete. Everything was sports and competition. If I wasn't playing sports, I had my cap gun shooting bad guys in the woods, you know? Like.
So Elliot Fauske wasn't, he was in trouble. He was like, he's had a lot of energy and played sports. But were you in trouble as a youth? I mean, did you?
No, I was a good kid, man, for a long time. I was, you know, good grades, pretty much. I mean, I had a really bad temper. That was bad, especially from competing. So definitely, you know, if I couldn't beat my dad at something, I would throw the worst fit. And then if I sensed he was letting me win, I'd throw another fit, you know?
Wow.
I just couldn't win. That's why I don't want kids, man, because that karma, I don't want to raise a kid like me. So I was difficult in my own ways, you know?
So how about
a good kid.
So was your dad just as competitive? Like, did it kill him if he had to let you win, or did he want to crush you every time?
No, it killed him to deal with my attitude.
Right.
You know, he didn't care if I won or not. He was a super athlete. My dad was like quarterback, pitcher, point guard type athlete, 3-sport athlete. But he said his competitive drive kicked the bucket when he was like 33 or something. And like, he was like, he remembers the day, he said. He was like on deck, they were in a competitive softball league, and you know, he was the winning run, and he was like, yeah, whatever. You know, like it just hit him. And ever since then, he hasn't been so competitive. So
wow. So we got a little bit of your childhood down. I'm sure there's not one viewer probably that knew that stuff about you. I'm having to guess, because you really don't talk about anything. I don't even know why they would, you know, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, it wouldn't come up. You know?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with this information, but I'm building a little story as we go on, even though I started in the middle, went back to the beginning. So as a child, you had this energy, your brother, your sister, your parents were wild, you know, this and that. Now, you went to college, you went to college.
Yeah.
So what did you go to college for?
Play soccer, man. I had a little bit of a soccer scholarship. My grades were good, so I had a lot of financial aid for my grades. And the years I went to college, my parents didn't have a lot of income. And so I got really good financial aid. And then anything left over, my grandpa said he would pay for. So I knew that I had a debt-free college experience. So I had to complete it, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't have any idea what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, but I just knew if I could get through college debt-free, I wanted to do it.
Were you a standout soccer player in college, or were you just average?
Uncelebrated, but I was good. You know, I went into an NAIA school. We had won a national championship 3 years before I got there, and we won a Division II championship the year I left, so without me. So I never won a national championship, but the bookends. So we had solid squads. I was always a good player, but never accolades, you know, stats, any of that. Just good blue-collar midfielder.
So you had to work a little bit extra harder, I'm guessing, then, to make up for, you know.
No, it wasn't like that. I'm very skilled. I'm just unorthodox. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't score a lot of goals. I do a lot of gritty physical work. Could run all day. I love playing defense. I love sticking it to somebody and, you know, trying to frustrate their attacks, and then I would set up the attack. So
right.
I'm definitely skilled, but it's nothing that shows up on paper as, you know, I wasn't recruited to play professionally or, you know, anything like that.
Right.
I wasn't recruited to play in college either.
But at that point, you were pretty focused, though. At that point, did you think, hey, I want to be a professional soccer player, or were you just playing it to get the grades and get the education at that point?
I just love playing. I don't know when. I mean, as a kid, I want to be a pro athlete. I want to be Bo Jackson, though, you know, right. Baseball and football. But apparently, you know, I'm 120 soaking wet, so that didn't work out. But
right.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a pro athlete, but I didn't really know how to train, to be honest. Like, I worked really hard. I kept myself fit, but I was always kicking the ball for fun. So I improved, and I was a good player by my work ethic, but I didn't focus on a lot of fundamentals that would have made me better. You know, I didn't have a lot of knowledge. We didn't have coaching growing up hardly in my generation where I grew up, because my family moved to Spokane.
Right.
And so it just wasn't a big soccer place. There wasn't a focus on it. So I ended up barely getting into Seattle U because our coach was recruiting the team we were playing against, and we smashed them. So then he recruited me and a few of my teammates, and I ended up going. So I don't know when I decided I wanted to be a pro, but, you know, I had the chance to try out for the Sounders and took it. And really, it was depression why I didn't take the contract. I would have taken the bad contract they offered me. It was low, but it was an opportunity. But day to day, my motivation was wavering.
Right.
You know,
right.
I'd be like, fine, playing, competing. One day, I didn't care if I was alive or dead. So I didn't really want to do it halfway, so I quit.
How old were you at this point?
I was 22.
So you were
when I first tried out with the Sounders, then didn't make it. Then that winter, went to Brazil, tried out, didn't make it. Came back to the Sounders again, same story. You know, little contract. Which again, it wasn't about the money, but I just told myself, I'm like, if they offer me a decent contract, I'll do it. If not, whatever. But I just kind of threw it to chance because
you love the whole experience of everything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I love playing, man. And then part of it too is like once you hit the professional level, it's not as fun.
Right.
You know, it's the better your contract, the worse someone else's is. You know, there's always competition. There's less of a team unity feel. And I don't know, you're just playing soccer a few hours a day and hanging around these little apartments. And I didn't find that life super fulfilling. It was hard to keep my motivation, plus some other stuff going on in my head. At that age. Yeah, I mean, all the time. Honestly, my personality, I've learned about myself. I do need more occupation than just playing sports. Even now, if all I do is play soccer, I get a little stir crazy. It doesn't feel that productive.
Well, that's going to be the good part of this interview, because at some point we're going to start digging into a lot of your occupations, because to me, I'm evolving to this thing by the end of this interview, however long it takes. We don't time our interviews here. We feel we've had enough. We say goodbye, thank you, and all this and all that. But what I want to do is we're going to take a little break, and we're going to play a track. When we get back from the break, we're going to take off right from where we left off from college.
Every person born is given two things in common: a free will and a struggle. Life is full of beauty and resistance. In the face of opposition, will you move aside or will you engage the struggle? It's been said, nothing in your life is worth dying for. Though the body lives, you are not truly living. Not truly living. Not truly living. Not. You know when your back is against the wall, then there's no choice left but to fight or fall. When you live as a captive and die for the cause, fight back the odds till the casket's closed. Scars and crowns, I bleed to see clear. Sweat and tears testify that I'm here. Dig deep, dig the neck to the heart and the chest of warriors before me, you fought to the death. Refuse to accept the oppressor pressure. I expect success in the face of resistance. I've been through it, I fear no man. Expose my weakness, they cut me open. My wills are broken. Humility's deadly, tell the enemy I'm ready to die. Come get me, I boast the best. Sleep with no rest, the irony is I live among the blessed. We live, move, breathe, die, and we'll fly. Free, kill, life, and we'll live, move, breathe, die, fly. Free, kill, life. Unbreakable spirit, I am me. I got vision that surpassed what the eye can see. A dying breed, I feel the original seed. Die the last Mohican to be set free. Death is a curse only if you never lived, never gave 100% back in. If you never gave in the fear, you can break every chain. Persevere through the pain to achieve anything. Dream big, why? Truth can't lie. Dreams won't fade, ideas don't die. Don't look back, the blind lead the blind. Blink twice, see life pass you by. Me, I'm a different cup, make life difficult. Bleed love, drink from a different cup. Magnificent view from the top. The chosen few died to become what they really are. We live on, yeah, breathe, die, and we'll fly. Free, kill, life. That's why we live, move, breathe, die. You can fly. Free, kill, life. There's more to the world than being brave or being safe. How you would be amazed at the depth of the human soul's at stake. It's stacked deep like bodies in a massive grave. There's power to the people that die for freedom. You can mark my words, I speak belief. I seek relief, my speech is in chains. A dying breed, I'll join the slain. Enjoy the strain, embrace the pain. Death gains new life, I'll fight for change. I'll spark a blaze, lightning fast. Spit fire hydrant when the lightning crash. When it's lightning flash over ironclad. Fight mad, think back to the Viking past. Breathe in, these breaths might be your last. When I die, I wanna say I gave all I had. Live, move, breathe, die, and we'll fly. Free, kill, life. Live, move, breathe, die, and we'll fly. Free, kill, life. That's why we live, we move, we breathe, we die. We seek a different life, we look
guys, we're back with the great Elliot Fauske. And the song you were just listening to was called The Dying Breed by yours truly, Elliot Fauske. Yet another thing your fans didn't know you did. Entertainer, soccer player, all around, right?
Yeah, I got a couple hobbies.
Who produced that track? Just to give him some shout out too.
Levi Bennett, B Live Productions.
Nice. It was fun. We'll get to the music part too. But
Yeah, cool.
I want to pick right it back up where we left off from. It was you getting out of college, trying out, not getting that position. So what was going on in your head, you know, during that time when you didn't get it? What are you thinking at this point? You said you were confused, you were depressed, you were up, down.
Yeah, I was frustrated, man. I mean, I was frustrated with myself, my lack of motivation. I'm always really hard on myself, very perfectionistic. So, you know, I felt like if I wasn't going to perform to the best of my ability and be 100% focused, then I didn't want to do it.
What were some of your distractions?
Honestly, just being... Man, I don't know exactly at that time, but I know the overarching theme was just being hard on myself, feeling like I had a lot of potential. I should have been doing a lot more with my life.
Yeah.
And I had no direction, didn't know what I wanted to do, and always feeling like I should just be doing better, be a better person, be better at soccer, be more studious, whatever it was, just really frustrated with myself. And so I actually went to counseling one time when it got really bad, and the dude was like, he just told me, he's like, you're such a perfectionist, you think that's elevating you to a higher level. So I always pushed perfectionism. I wanted to be perfect in whatever I did, and I felt like as long as that standard was that high, I was always going to try to reach for it, and it would make me better. And then he said, you know you're never going to be satisfied with yourself, so you just give up, because you're like, I'll never be happy, I'll never reach the goals I set. And so then it was so disheartening, I would lose motivation, and then it was ironic, it actually wasn't helping me.
What were you doing during those depressive stages? I mean, were you going out drinking? I mean, what were you doing? Were it just...
Man, I had never drank up to that point, never touched drugs. You know, I was a virgin, and I was just very... That wasn't my release.
Wait, how old were you?
22, 23.
You didn't do any of those at that point?
No.
How does one go... Because I'm going to assume a lot of people you go to school with and a lot of people you're around, they're consumed with all the things that you're not doing. So how do you not get consumed with all that stuff?
Yeah, even a year or two in my college career, I lived in party houses. You know, it was all around me, and part of it was, well, people knew where I stood, man. I didn't even hardly get invited to parties. I didn't go to them. People knew I pretty much wasn't interested.
So if they see you coming up, let's just say they were drinking or smoking weed or whatever they were doing, they see you coming up, they hiding it because they respect you that much, or...
Not quite to that level, but they wouldn't do it around me or would avoid it. So honestly, just by the stance I had taken, it was such a non-issue for me. I was not going to drink no matter what. It didn't matter what anybody did. So no one ever peer pressured me.
Right.
I never felt the pressure to drink. And so I was actually sheltered from a lot, naive in a way. You know, I learned things that were going on in my own house that I didn't know till way later. You know, stories pop out and I was like, man, I lived there. Yeah. You know, dudes' war stories with chicks and all that, I wouldn't even be in the loop on.
Yeah, wow.
So
I had friends like you growing up where, you know, I always commended them, especially now that I'm older, that they never touched a drug, they never touched alcohol, they never smoked a cigarette. And I commend them because every one of their friends was doing it. They didn't have a problem hanging out with them. They just didn't do it. It wasn't for them. They had no desire for it. So I always commend high props to people who can do that in life, because not everybody's that strong, and some people succumb to the things around them. And so I give you a lot of credit, and anyone who's gone through that stuff, knowing not to be influenced by others. I mean, that's amazing right there.
Yeah, I never had a problem doing my own thing. You know, I was kind of brought up that way. My parents, you know, they're unique. They're kind of a paradox in themselves.
Right.
You know, kind of hippies yet conservative Christians all at the same time.
Were your parents, were they strict, or you pretty much?
Not really. I mean, they were very strict in a way. Like, we didn't have a TV when I was young, and then they wanted to monitor what we were watching at the neighbors, so they bought a TV and then put it under literally a padlock and like closed off. So you had to do this combination, open it so you could open the TV.
Really?
Yeah, so they could monitor how much we watched and what we watched. And so it was a half hour a day was the rule, you know?
What did you watch during that half hour?
Man, for a while I was smoking my mom because it was like, well, I'm watching sports. That shouldn't count against. It's kind of like what I do, you know. And then the other siblings were like, that ain't fair. You get to watch more TV, so I got that cut off. Man, I remember I remember stuff like DuckTales or, man, I don't know. I don't even remember.
That's crazy, man. I mean, that's crazy. I tell you what.
We were very monitored, too, what we could watch. It was very filtered. So they're strict in a way, but they gave us so much freedom. You know, I'd be playing in the yard. I'd run around with a BB gun. We were in a suburban neighborhood. You know, I'd be shooting birds, like, and they let me do that kind of stuff and go fish in the creek and by myself, you know, walk down to the waterfront because we live kind of near the Puget Sound, the ocean down there. So I had a lot of freedom. And if we could give a good alibi and a reason for what we wanted to do, we could stay up and stay out. So
you tried tricking her when you were younger and it didn't work. So
yeah, let's just go honest. Let's just tell them what we're doing.
and you know, and also, I was trying to figure out a segment how to bring this up. Okay, but like you're saying, you've had a decent life. Okay, but you've also dealt with some tragedy in your life. And the only reason why I'm thinking about how I was going to bring this in is you mentioned, and I think it's an important thing to bring up in a good way and not a bad way, is you had a tragedy in your life and with your sister. And seeing how you've never done drugs or anything like that, you know, you want to, I'm trying to figure out how to...
Up to that point.
Up to that point. So
yeah.
How were you then?
When I first tried anything?
Yeah.
I tasted alcohol like the week before my 25th birthday.
So, no.
First time.
So what made you come to that conclusion?
Well, I mean, that goes back to when I was a kid and why I didn't drink in the first place.
So you just wanted to tell?
No. When I was 10, I made a pact with, you know, some of my buddies and like cousins, buddies, we were having like a sleepover. We were all talking about God. We were grade schoolers. I was 10. I was the second oldest one.
Right.
And I told them, I don't know who started. We just had those Christian values. We were like, we're never going to drink. We're never going to do drugs. Never smoke cigarettes, chew tobacco, wait till we're married to have sex. You know, we promised all these things. And we were kids. So obviously we got older and we didn't all live in the same city or anything anyway. And you'd be hearing about guys and, you know, you're just growing up, going through adolescence. So guys start doing stuff and I never did. And I just stuck with it. So even after, as teenagers, we got together, we're like, hey man, we're growing up. We're all gonna do our own thing. You know, we were kids and we made that and we're like, all right, fine. But at that point I was like, shoot, I told everybody I've ever been around that this is something I'm never gonna do. So I didn't want to lie. And I want to stick to my word. That was like really important. That the
same guys that were going word for word with you saying, yeah, let's shake hands on this. And were they doing the same thing or did they quit sooner than you?
Oh, no. Everybody broke every aspect of it, I think, before I broke one.
Really?
You know? Yeah, I mean, certainly, for sure. I can say that. And it was just a funny position because then I was a Lone Ranger, you know? But like I said, I told everybody, so it was no longer even about them. I was like, okay, we can do our own thing, but I'm better for it anyway. It doesn't, you know, I save money. It's healthier. It's something I promised, so whatever.
What I was going to bring, I'm trying to figure out how to bring this in, but how I was going to bring it is, you had a sister, you know, you're very close to your family, okay?
Yeah.
You had a sister that passed, okay? Yeah. And she dealt with a lot of things in her lifetime. And I kind of want to and I only want to touch briefly on this because I don't want this to be a doom and gloom show. But I also think there's a great message with your sister's life. And that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. What she had went through and what it has done for you and your family or to you and your family and how it's changed your lives for the better and, you know, the awareness that has come along with your sister's death. And I don't know if you mind touching base this a little bit, but would you like to for a minute?
No, that's good. I mean, so my older sister, 3 years older, she was born with some disabilities. They kind of call them hidden disabilities. They weren't right in your face, but she dealt with a little bit of cerebral palsy. So physically, she, you know, wasn't as coordinated in certain things. So she didn't excel in sports. She had some learning disabilities. Certain subjects were difficult for her. She got teased a lot, couldn't fit in. She emotionally never really developed beyond that of a child. So she was so sweet, like the sweetest, most giving, open-hearted, loving, non-judgmental person ever. The downside of that was she did not learn from consequences. She trusted everybody. She would not get jaded no matter how many times she was hurt. And as she grew older, you know, where she was accepted was in the party crowd, drug culture, whatever. And so that's where she found her people. And she didn't care who she was around, you know. She could be around the president or a bum on the street and wouldn't know the difference. You know, she loved all people. So, so at some point, meth came in. You know, she was on and off of meth for 7 years, in and out of jail, a couple DUIs, on probation, relapse, rehab, you know, doing that whole thing. And so throughout it all, you know, you'd lose her. I'd lose her to the drugs, and then she'd come back, and she'd be sweet and wonderful. And, you know, it's just hard to watch somebody go away and die while they're alive.
Now, were you drinking at this point yourself, or not yet at this point?
Boy, when she died, what, 07. Yeah, I just dabbled in it, you know, just started.
Right.
I mean, 06. Yeah, like a year before was the first time.
Right. And through this happening, you know, because you said it was a 7-year span.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of things, especially when you're, you know, abusing drugs and alcohol. A 7-year span is a long time.
Yeah.
You know, so during that 7 years, I mean, what was going through all your heads? And, you know, like, are you learning things about, you know, because you told me at one time, no matter what she was going through, you were always tight with her.
Yeah, we were emotionally close, but a lot of times she was gone, out of the area, disappearing, you know, dating some criminal dude randomly, or she's in jail for 6 months, which those are the clean times. She'd have security, and it was actually kind of good for her, you know. Sure. She liked jail. Like she obviously didn't want to go back. You know, certain ones were worse than others, but she had friends there. She had people there. She had security, and she felt in her mind she fit in there. Yeah,
she fit in all these circumstances that weren't right for mostly everybody else.
And she was social, right? Like she just loved people.
Right.
She's funny. If you knew her, you know, it was like she just went with the flow. So, yeah. So what I was going through from that was, I mean, I already wasn't doing drugs, you know what I mean, prior to that, and I wasn't worried about it. And I didn't want to play with it because on both sides of my family is drug and alcohol addiction. So I was like, that was another thing. Like, it's probably just better that I don't mess with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't. But yeah, what was going through my head, I mean, I learned a lot of the negatives. I learned to hate the drug culture of hip hop. You know, like I like rap, I like rapping, I like rhymes, I love the creative element of it. But this whole, like, you know, be a pimp a hoe, sell a girl, you know, devalue her, and then the whole drugs, like, I'm just gonna get mine, you know.
Yeah.
So cutting up coke, Jay-Z, rags to riches. I did what I had to do. Well, what you had to do is you effed up a lot of families, man. You know, I saw what one drug addict did to my whole extended family and circle of friends. One person, one sweet girl on drugs. And these drug dealers are trying to hook in more and more people with that stuff. I don't respect that at all.
And I can't imagine, you know, what your parents had gone through, but I know through this healing process, I would have to assume it brought, you know, you, your mother, your father, and your brother a lot closer, but also she wrote a book. You want to talk about that book briefly?
Yeah, so my parents have a really strong marriage, good relationship, but they grieve differently. And most people who lose a child get divorced, you know, overwhelming percentage.
Yeah.
And my parents, it was rocky. You know, my mom is the very much doer, shaper, plan, create, and my dad's just kind of go with the flow. Let's see what happens, you know. So my mom wanted to do something in my sister's memory, start a foundation, do something in her name. My dad was just thinking, we'll wait for a good opportunity. If it comes, good. And just the whole grieving thing, it's so difficult. You know, you have different needs in grief. So it was really trying on their marriage, but they got through it. And my mom went to a grief class where they had homework writing assignments, and that blossomed into a book. So she wrote a succinct, you know, little 100-page book about kind of her experience with my sister since her birth, and trying to protect my sister and keep her safe and normalize her to society, and every kind of activity to build her self-esteem. And, you know, she can't do sports, so put her in 4-H.
Yeah.
You know, take care of the horse, learn responsibility. So many things. My mom's life was dominated by it.
And your mom's name is April, right?
Yep, April Fauske. So as soon as my sister died, my mom had this huge vacuum. Like, she never kept my sister safe. She never completed that project of getting my sister's life to be normal again. And a lot of that was reacting to her childhood, you know, of not being safe and being neglected and kind of rejected, basically, and sent to the U.S. away from Japan to be a foster child with her 12-year-old brother when she was 9.
Wow.
So she was really trying to make her family safe. And so that rocked her world. so that writing that book was a grieving process, and then she just published it. So, you know, self-published.
There's the book, Dolly.
Yeah.
You can go get it at, where's the website, Elliot? Do you know what the website
It is.
stuff is?
It's my sister's name, DollyFauske.com, DOLLY, and then my last name, FAUSKE, DollyFauske.com.
So if you get a chance, guys, anyone go check out that book, order it, and then most importantly, leave Elliot's mother a comment on her website after you've read the book and what you thought, and maybe this book has helped you. And, you know, the only reason why I even brought all this up was basically for the book, and basically to get your sister's story out there and keep this healing process going, and maybe this can help many other homes that have dealt with something similar to this. Because you know, we deal with it, you know, left and right every day, and it's also, you know, I'm also leading into a lot of things that have happened to you, and because sooner or later we're going to get to a certain character you portray, and I'm guessing this is where all the buildup of many things possibly is coming up to this character, and you know, so, you know, God bless your parents, and you know, for everything they've endured in life, and you know, and to stay strong and carry on for sure. And so now you've went to school, you tried out for pro team, didn't get it. Your sister has passed at this point, okay? So now what's going through your head professionally at this point?
Professionally, huh?
Yeah.
At that point,
I mean, or basically what's going on in Elliot Fauske's head? Did you even stop thinking about soccer at this point?
when my sister passed, I was working construction. I was a laborer.
Right.
So I was professionally beating the crap out of my body.
So you literally quit soccer, period, and just started working.
Well, yeah. So from the end of college, I went 2 years where I didn't really play competitively, maybe a year semi-pro. What happened then? Then I actually went back to college. I went back to grad school. I had another year of school offered to me. I had been injured, missed a year. So anyways, my coach brought me back, redshirt year. So when I turned 25 during that season. So it was kind of like old man coming back, playing,
yeah.
You know, kind of to bury the hatchet. Me and my coach had some conflicts. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I played for him. So I did play competitively at 25 in college. And then I quit playing soccer for about 4 years, where I played sporadically in a men's league here or there. Kind of kept myself a little fit, but soccer was not in the cards for me anymore. I had a random tryout, while I was working.
How were you getting these tryouts?
I was working construction, and the assistant coach, now the Sounders, he was the head coach of the Sounders then. Somebody hit him up from Chicago and said, hey, we need a player who's not playing pro or college, but he's decent, because all our guys don't have documents to go to Canada to play a tournament. So I go up to Vancouver, Canada, and I played really well. I was just working construction, wasn't playing at all, but I was fit from working hard. So scored a bunch of goals, and it was a Serbian team. And one of these Serbians, he was a part owner of an indoor team in Chicago. So in 2007, they paid me like $500 and flew me out to Chicago just to try out for their team. No, prior to that, just to play in one men's league game, because a Croatian team was playing a Serbian team in the Illinois State Championship. So obviously they had a civil war 20 years prior. This was like, for example, the level of the rivalry, the game got stopped at halftime because fans were fighting in the stands. So they flew me out to play for them.
Wow.
And so I played well there. I got a couple assists, and we were 2-2 at halftime. So they flew me back out, paid me more money, put me up, fed me, let me hang out.
Did they have to ask you how your fighting skills were before you came on the team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were worrying about it, because they had some brutish brothers, man. They were getting down. Their main supporter, the main crazy dude, was like missing one eye from fighting,
Wow.
He was a big bad dude. They've literally been through the war.
And
so,
we're not talking a lot of money at this point, right? We're not talking like major.
Oh, to play soccer?
Yeah, major contracts.
No. I mean, they just paid me $500 cash just to take time off of working construction, just to cover my costs and everything. So I did that. They kept me on for an extra week, and I made it down to the final cuts and got let go. So I didn't make the indoor team in 2007. Then I went back to construction.
Wow, so there's a lot of rejection going on. I mean, and again, I'm saying this because like you are a pro soccer player at this point, so that's why I'm loving like you got kicked around quite a bit, especially at older age.
Well, and then I had that head injury.
Well, we'll get to that after the break. We'll get to that after the break, because I'm going to say that because that's going to take a little bit while. But we're going to go on break right now, and I'm sure Elliot Fauske is going to want to introduce this next song because it's another song from Elliot Fauske.
What is it?
You don't even know what it is?
Well, I mean, I probably know what it is because I did it, but what song are we talking?
Moving Under Fire.
Oh, yeah, man. I was featured on my buddy's mixtape, Sharp Skills. Really talented MC out of Long Beach, then Seattle, then back to Long Beach, then back to Seattle, where he currently resides. Got a lot of respect for him. He's recently written a book. He's an active dude, man. Hip hop artist.
Was this before your soccer contract or after?
No. This was a couple years ago.
Okay. All right.
I was traveling, just having fun, in my off season. Passed through Long Beach. He was like, "Man, you want to get on the track?" I was like, "Sure." Met him at his place, and we just wrote it up real quick, and then hopped into the studio the next day. So
here's another one of Elliot Fauske's several talents. Again, Moving Under Fire by Elliot Fauske. We'll be right back.
When a teardrops dry up and your fears no longer scare you, standing on the edge of the cliff, feeling the air move, losing yourself in the present, ready to stretch your wings. And all those times in the past that you failed have set you free. You are an eagle, no longer bound by the limits, placed on you by the dark surroundings menace. Hearts pound as Guinness, a new record spinning in your mental stronger senses, make you more alert. All the righteousness spouting from the horrid dirt, your chords are sorted turf, flexible performing work. The greatest storms of earth, you survived the challenge. Lost a few brains, it's gotten to revive the damage. Some nights you cried in panic, as if your life was stranded. But now your stance outstanding, well planted when the land's erratic. Now you running frantic as you pursue your dreams. So local with the motives, ain't no losing steam. I'll never lose my focus even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire. I'll never lose my focus even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire. Looking at the night sky, with your mind's eye, see where you might fly. When it's my time to die, hope to die for the cause. Bring it on to my God, fly by the ego. My ego will fly me over evil. No one judging me by the standards of other people. I'm a free bird, fly me home. My feet hurt from walking on this earth so long. I'm taking off the weight from all the pain and anger, hate and pressure placed upon us. Broken promise with the focus on us. Human nature's flawed at the core, but it's more of a story. Glorify and rise above. I'll never lose my focus even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire. I'll never lose my focus even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire. I'm breaking boundaries, free from the bondage prevalent in the system of thieves that lives the kindness. I paid quite a hefty fee for this knowledge. On my knees, paying homage, now receiving the promise. I can see I've been free, but what fuels my desires? I've been used, I've been lied to, but cruel. From the fire I can breathe, I can flourish under siege, but I resurface, reserve my inner being for the people that deserve it. I'm imperfect, but I'm learning that the path I'm on is worth it. No diverting from my purpose, no matter how bad life hurts. I know it's work, but it's working. I persevere through the personal fears, amazed despite the change. It's just how free I can feel. I feel no pain. I'll never lose my focus, even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire. I'll never lose my focus even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire. I'll never lose my focus even when the pain is high. My body trapped to this earth, but my home is in the sky. I'm moving under fire. Still moving under fire.
All right, then we're back, and Elliot Fauske, Moving Under Fire. Now, What's crazy about that song, Elliot, before we get back into the storyline here, what's about this song, I've been knowing you for a while now, and we talk music a lot. Why haven't I ever heard that song before?
That's weird. I don't know, man.
I mean, come on, we discuss plans of music and stuff, like many hours.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of the head injury, maybe I just forgot.
Well, I'm going to forgive you on that. Because, but I got to say, I really like that track. That is an excellent song. Excellent song. It's worthy of pushing, that's for sure.
I appreciate that. Yeah, because to me it was like, it was an afterthought. We talk about doing music together because we've been buddies for a long time. Yeah. And he's always pushed it. He's done the albums, the mixtape. He's really done some things, and had some stuff placed in TV and movies and whatnot. And for me, it was just always a side hobby, a little local show here and there, getting on a buddy's track. So when I was in Long Beach, I got on this track for the mixtape, and it was fun, but I guess I didn't really...
I know he was thinking, he was marking, I got this really good-looking white guy here who's a professional soccer player. I'm going to get him on the track.
Yeah, he's probably thinking I gotta throw my buddy a bone, man. He's probably wondering when I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah, right.
We just haven't lived in the same city together,
Where's he? Seattle?
Well, he's from Seattle when I knew him, and then he moved back to Long Beach, and that's more like by the time we became closer, he was in Long Beach, and then I was still either in Seattle or Rochester traveling.
Gotcha.
And he moved back to Seattle, and I wasn't here, and so it's the first time. Well, I was just traveling, like I said. I was in California, so I was like, man, I'll drive down. See you, say what's up, or we can throw a track together. So
gotcha. All right, well, we're gonna get back to the storyline now. So, all right, we left off. You had the tragedy of your sister. You went and played for a team. What country was it again? When you team you went and played for in their fights in the stands. What country?
Well, I was playing in Chicago for a Serbian team.
Okay, that was in Chicago for Serbia.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a Chicago indoor team, one of their owners was Serbian.
Okay, that's where I was getting confused. So.
Yeah.
That gig only lasts so long. You come back, you got to go back to construction.
Yeah, came right back. Just worked construction again. So that's 07. Had 2 weeks of soccer.
Like when you said construction, what were you doing? Like what kind of construction?
It was labor. So we were building commercial buildings, doing foundation work, shoring. So it was extremely physical. In the mud pits, you're down building walls in the earth. So they dig the hole and we wall it up. So
did you have previous experience in that field, or they just threw you in?
No, man. If you're willing to work hard, they'll take you. So it was a trial basis. So I was actually working in a bank at the time. So, like I said, look, man.
What were you doing in a bank?
Not
in a bank.
Surprisingly, not trying to rob it. I was actually working there. So,
were you cleaning it or a teller, or what were you doing?
I was a teller, man. So here's how that happened. So I was, like I said, I had that 1 year soccer scholarship. My coach called me and said, "What are you up to?" And I said, okay, not much. I was like landscaping for $10 an hour or something. So I said, yeah, I'll play again. So he gave me 4 quarters of free school. So I wanted to get into law school, but it was too late. So I got into the MBA program because I could still get in there. So I did the MBA through that season in the fall of 06. And I hated it, But I was like, all right, I'll keep doing it. It's free school. So I played the soccer season, did the school, dropped out of grad school. I was like, I'm done, man. I'm out of here. Didn't take my finals, I think I just walked out on it. And so my grades are bad. So then everyone was like, why are you quitting free education? I was like, good point. So I went in, I convinced the school. I'm like, man, this time I mean it. I don't know what I was thinking. I was going through some stuff. I'm back. Went to another quarter, got a job at a bank, wearing a tie every day and just hating my life, man.
I could picture you doing construction before I can picture you being a bank teller.
I lasted almost 2 months. My mom actually, she was visiting Seattle, and she goes, come outside with me. I'm like, Mom, come on, what are you going to do? She's like, I want to take a picture of you in front of that bank sign. I'm like, Mom, why? This is pointless. She's like, I know this isn't going to last. I want proof that this happened.
So she's documenting your jobs.
Yeah, within like 2-3 weeks of that, it was like young.
So you left the bank, you went back to construction, I'm taking it.
No, the first time, my cousin called me. So I'd done landscaping and some minor construction, but I wasn't in any trade or real knowledgeable. My dad's blue collar, so I had done a lot of blue collar work with him, but not skilled. So my cousin called me up. He's like, hey, man, this is a construction company. They'll pay you $30 an hour, but they will beat you to shreds. And I'm like, dang, I'm making $12.50 at the bank, and I want to shoot myself anyway. So I took up with it, and I hadn't been playing soccer, hadn't been running. I'm just sitting, my seasons are, I'm just sitting there as a bank teller, for a couple months, and I'm not very fit. And I go, and this stuff is so difficult, man. We had these little chipping guns, you know, like handheld jackhammers that you got to hold and be throwing out these walls so we can, you know, fit these big 4x12 boards. And my hands are cramping up. I'm not fit. And I would have got fired, except...
Were you still dreaming of soccer, though, at this time? Were you, like, thinking...
Soccer was always in the back of my mind, but it was always in the back of my mind. It was just a droning frustration. Like, why didn't I take advantage of my opportunities? Why aren't I playing right now? I'm in my physical prime. Like, but the motivation... I had depression for a lot of years, man. Like a handful of years in my mid-upper 20s, and I couldn't shake it. I couldn't get consistently motivated. So I kept myself fit in the hope that one day I would take these opportunities, because I knew I could still do it. Right. I was confident, but...
Were you playing on like pickup games at this point?
Yeah, not during the construction, not during that time. You know, other than when that Chicago team called me, but before and after, yeah, here and there.
And I think, you know, the story to me is starting to pick up a little bit more now, and to me, it really is leading into something, because while Elliot took this construction job, he had another major setback, and you know. He was working in, what, a ditch or something like that?
Well, I mean, yeah, the foundation, you know, the big pit of the building in Bellevue, Washington, here outside of Seattle, you know, commercial building.
And what happened in there?
Well, there's a concrete hose that, you know, the pump truck is up ground level, and then we're down below. So there's like, I don't know, 100 plus something feet of hose. So it was major pressure pumping concrete through, and I was holding it on my shoulders to pumping into this wall, you know. We had drilled horizontally, so, you know, dudes have to hold it up, get it in there. There's this big, long plastic pipe, and as it fills the hole, you back it out. So you're carrying this heavy concrete hose. And so that plugged and exploded, like, instantly. You know, it was one of the first shifts of the morning. It was 7:30 a.m. It exploded, the metal end. So the plastic blew out, and the metal end whipped back, hit my face, and I was lights out for 7 hours. I regained consciousness in the hospital.
So it exploded on you in the middle of while you were working, like right next to your face?
Yeah, I was holding it. The rubber hose, you know,
the
concrete hose, and then there was like metal clamps and metal ends that connected them, and that end one blew out. The plastic that was going into the hole, that exploded, whatever, and that metal piece hit my face, broke 3 bones in my face, and I wasn't knocked out flat, like eyes rolled back, like I walked out of the pit, but I was just asking the same question over and over for 7 hours or something.
And your face was mangled at this point.
Yeah, and I don't remember any of it. So I woke up in the hospital with just my pants covered in dry concrete, no shirt, and I'm laying on a hospital bed. I'm barefoot, you know. So I took my boots and my shirt off, and I don't know where I was. And there was like, I think it was my aunt had made it there, and my superintendent. There's like a few people around, and I was asking them questions like, where am I? What happened? And they're ignoring me because I had asked that question hundreds of times in my concussed state or whatever. And so finally they knew I was too and explained to me. So that was yeah, the broken bones were a deal, but the memory issues that ensued, that was the big setback.
So, but you had to get reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, I got screws and plates all in this face, you know, like over a dozen of little metal shrapnel floating. So
how long did it take to recover at this point?
I mean, I never fully recovered, but I went back to work in 6 weeks like a dummy. I thought I was healed. I thought I was fine, but my brain was so incapable of processing the information. I thought I wasn't losing memory or anything. So my neurologist at my 3-month visit was skeptical / surprised, like, are you sure you're not experiencing any memory problems? And I was like, no, man, I'm cool. You know, he's like, well, start paying attention. So as my brain healed, I was able to notice things I was forgetting. Whereas before I was so messed up, I didn't even know I was forgetting things.
And how old were you at this point? What was your age at this point?
27, I think.
So now you're 27. So you've went through all these things. At 20, now you're 27. Now what is your mind going through at this point? Once you get released from the hospital and you said you went back to work, but did you go back to work at the same company?
No. I went back
to the bank.
Nah, man, didn't have the brains for that anymore. So I went back to a different construction outfit. So I went back to them, but they weren't busy. And I was like, well, I'll just keep myself busy. You know what I mean? They just keep me busy pushing a broom in the yard. It's kind of boring. I'll go work for someone else. So for them, that was a dream because then all liability was gone, you know?
Right.
And so 6 weeks, like my face was still kind of swollen. I was just dumb about it, man. Like I wasn't there mentally. They were sending me paperwork for my L&I claim and I wasn't reading it properly. So my claim ended up closing and I couldn't get care anymore. So I never really got to follow up with the neurologist properly. And Yeah, it's frustrating, man. I was really bitter for a long time. I had plans to kill people and all that, man. I was really bitter because I had friends at the company, and you know, they turned their back on me because they had liability and it was bad for them professionally.
Right.
And they felt guilty because really, the story went like an 18-year-old kid with no experience put the pipes together that morning. You're supposed to let that glue set for 24 hours, and they didn't. And more hoses were popping off that day. They just didn't hit anybody. So I was hot about it, man, when I heard all that, and I was bitter. You know, I'm sitting here with a messed up brain that can't think right, and these clowns I lived a half mile from that job site, and they visited me one time.
Wow.
You know, there was just loss of friendship. These are dudes I became real friends with. Like, we went out together. My cousins have been working there for years, so we were all buddies, man. And I had some dark moments.
So how long did because, obviously the steel plate, metal plate, and screw stuff, that's bad, but the memory loss is the real issue here. And how long did that last before you started feeling somewhat normal?
I mean, I kind of just think of it in years. Like, the first year I healed a ton. The second year I healed quite a bit more. And the third year maybe a little, and then it plateaued.
Okay. So and here's where we're going to start getting to some stuff for your fans, because it baffled me, you telling me all these things in the past. And now at 27 years, you're 27 at this point. Yeah. Where the heck did soccer come into play, and how did it happen? How did you get your foot in the door at this moment? Because your sister alone would have prevented most people from ever moving forward in life, let alone explosions you face, being rejected from teams. You know, there's a lot going on here. You're 27 years of age. Where does soccer come into play?
So after I got injured, you know, I worked for 6 more months, and I was like, I don't want to do this forever, man. The company I loved working for was the one I got injured at.
Right.
You know, and I didn't want to go back there. I was bitter, and plus I'm kind of funny about pressurized equipment now. You know, a little PTSD. Like, I don't want anything pressurized. Maybe you got an aerosol can that's looking like it's a little too tight. You know,
that's it. You're backing up. Just have someone close to you test everything for you.
yeah. Maybe you could stand in front of me, man.
Yeah, that's all.
So I
take an aerosol can for you, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate that. Take concrete hose.
I won't do that, but I'll take the aerosol can for you.
Yeah, so I went traveling with a couple friends. One friend and then a girl he knew, and just went for one-way tickets, you know, went around the world. New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, Singapore, Bali, England, Ireland, whatever, just bouncing all over.
And how old are you at this age now?
That was just after 6 months after I got hurt.
So 28.
28 maybe, yeah. And so still not playing soccer, man, and not active at all, not very fit. I went for a run in Bali, about died, man.
Were you thinking after the accident, though, really in all actuality, were you thinking you were never going to play soccer again?
Honestly, I wasn't thinking properly, man. Doctors cleared me to play. They said you can physically play again, you're just at increased risk of head injury. I was like, well, all right, and all my frustration and anger, I was like, F it, I'm not going to do anything differently. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to take my chances. Part of that was a conscious choice. Part of that was probably ignorance, you know, invincibility, being injured, not knowing how bad. So I just went back to playing. And I didn't go back to competitively playing, but just when I got back from traveling, I started pickup games just to blow off some steam. And I guess played for some buddies who are now my really good friends. You know, a handful of Bosnian dudes, a couple Americans, a couple dudes from South America, you know, Latin guys.
Were there people entire time saying, you know, trying to coerce you into playing soccer and like you need to start picking up things, or because I mean, people around
just my Bosnian friends.
Right.
He was like, man, you should be playing pro. My one guy who played, you know, First Division France and Bosnia, he told me, he was like, man, you know, you should be playing. He's like, you could play First Division back in Bosnia. You know, there's a club, it's a 100-year-old club in Sarajevo, and he set me up with a tryout. So I was playing, what was that, 2010, you know? So I was 28, just about to turn 29. And so he set up everything. I went there for a tryout, played with the B team, you know, did well. The B team coach or whatever, the reserves coach told the head coach, like, yeah, give him a run. So I had to wait for an opportune time because they were playing so many games. They weren't training fully. They were kind of recovery training. So the 1 week they had a bye, they threw me up there and I got nasty food poisoning, man. And I couldn't keep fluids down. Like, I would puke, you know, I'm on the toilet 20 times a day. I'm just like losing all my fluids. If I tried to rehydrate, I'd vomit. So I played a couple of 2 days I played like that, and then I had to go to the hospital because I was depleted. And so I was recovering there in Bosnia. I was like, man, I don't want this. I don't want to live here for 10 months out of the year and just try to push through this. I don't speak the language. So I was living in an apartment by myself. I just got bummed out. I'm like, I'm not going to come back from this. So I just went back to the U.S., took a little vacation in Croatia first, and then headed back.
And at this point, you still really don't have any plans. You're still just...
Man, no career, no plans. I got a Spanish degree, that I got from Seattle U that I never really planned on. I'm an MBA dropout student. So... And I just didn't have any desires to do anything, goals. And I came back, but I was a little fired up. Like, I was enjoying playing to a degree. But it was a love-hate, man. Like, playing was really fun again, the adrenaline, but then my mind couldn't keep up with the game. So, like, I would blank out what they call brain freeze, where, like, your eyes are seeing everything fine, but your brain can't process it quickly enough, so you just freeze out. Like, you have these blank moments. So that would happen constantly when I was playing because I had to turn so much. And... see the field and bodies moving and the ball and everything, so to regain my equilibrium. So I was coordinated, my timing was fine, my vision was fine, but my decision-making would be slow or impaired. And that was so frustrating, man. That would really make me angry, so I would just play more physically. So I'm an aging player who should be relying on his brains, but I'm seemingly having to rely on my physicality. So I was just mad, And so I kind of wanted to take... It was happenstance. Again, I was playing in a men's league game, and my buddy goes, yo, there's a semi-pro soccer team, they're paying $25 a game.
What?
It was over an hour from where I was playing, and I'm like, this is going to be funny. I'm going to go play for that team and be a pro soccer player. I'm going to get a paycheck. And so I went and I signed a little one-page document. It was like, sign here for $25 a game, played a little season, just local.
So you were in the hole after gas and everything every game.
Heck yes, way in the hole. I bought a burrito on the way home,
Right.
Dipping into savings. But no, that was just to be funny, man. Like, honestly, it was a joke to me.
It was, well, you really look at it like, look, well, I will maintain staying in shape, but I just want to be able to say I'm a pro soccer player. You didn't?
No, because I wasn't proud of it. It was like a joke. It was like $25 a game. It was like, this is so much less than my dreams or what I had envisioned and what I wanted.
Right.
So it was almost as funny. It was like spoofing yourself. Like, can't beat them, join them. Like, I'm not a pro. So I'm going to frame this little one-page document one day or something.
But was depression still kicking in at this point, too?
Oh, yeah, heavy.
Worse than ever?
Yeah, worse than ever, but luckily I was motivated to play because it was like blowing off steam. It was my release. So at that point, I was like playing and playing hard. And
was that still indoor soccer or outdoor soccer?
That was indoor soccer.
Really quick, because I really don't know myself. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know. What is the difference between indoor soccer and outdoor soccer? Like,
it's a big difference. Outdoor soccer is 11v11 running clock, right? 45 minutes, halftime, 45 minutes, go back out there. You only sub a few players all game. Once you come off the field, you can't go back on at the professional level. So it's very endurance based. It's a very rhythmic building.
A lot faster?
Grinding, no, slower than indoor. Grinding 90-minute game. Indoor is staccato, super sprint. There's timeouts, there's 4 quarters. So it's 1 hour play, and you run in shifts like hockey. And we actually use hockey rinks. We put AstroTurf on the ice. The ball, if it hits the boards and stays in, you're good. The ball only goes out of bounds if it goes over the boards. And we're changing during the game. So if my partner comes, he's a little tired or he's ready to sub, he runs to the boards, I jump on for him. And it's continuous. So it's very high, intense, fast soccer for shorter periods of time.
I would think it'd be more taxing on your body indoor soccer than outdoor soccer.
In some ways, yeah. In some ways, you can do it till you're an older age. But really, yeah, that turf is tough, man. It can catch up with you.
Now, when you were coming out, did you want to be an indoor soccer player all along or an outdoor soccer player? Or you didn't?
No, I wanted to be an outdoor soccer player. Indoor soccer was never really in my mind other than that random tryout I had in 07. That was just like an isolated, strange experience that happened. It was cool. I made a little money to go play soccer. That felt nice.
Right.
But ultimately, indoor soccer isn't recognized by the world governing body, FIFA. So it's a minor league sport. It's not where you want to be. It's a stepping stone, or I think it's an exciting spectator sport. Personally, it's my favorite soccer to watch.
Right.
But it's not what you want to be playing. The money isn't there. You know what I mean? You want to be playing in Europe, overseas, or at least outdoor in the U.S., MLS.
Right.
So No, that was never the plan. It's a consolation prize. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm 30. So from that indoor team also had a semi-pro outdoor team. So I tried out for them, and we won the national championship. Well,
wait, what was the team you got to make the team before you won the national championship, didn't you?
Yeah, the Kitsap Pumas. It's a PDL team.
Okay.
So it's a semi-pro team. You know, there's a handful of Canadian teams and then like 60, 65 U.S. teams. So it's a big league. We won it. It was really cool, really fulfilling. I felt very grateful to have had that experience.
What was that paying a day, if you don't mind me asking?
$750 a month.
So it's a significant jump from 25 a game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at least I was making some money at that point.
Right.
But you know, it's just eking by and coaching on the side.
Right.
So I did that. We won the championship, and an agent saw us play and asked me if I wanted to keep playing. So he signed me, or he talked to me, and I was like, yeah, but I might go try out in Mexico. And then that Mexico thing fell through, and I never followed up with the agent. So 2 months later, out of nowhere, I'm like studying to get into law school this time, post head injury.
So you're thinking about that. I'm done with soccer.
Well, I'm like, man, I got to use my potential. I got to do something. You know, I've always been a justice advocate in my head and whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to get into law school. So I'm studying to take the LSAT to get into law school, and I'm miserable. I can't focus. I've had this head injury. I don't really want to be doing it. I don't want the jobs it's going to give me. So my motivation is garbage. The agent called me. He's like, hey, man, there's an indoor tryout in New York. You still want to play soccer? I was like, sure. So then I was going to study at the same time I was going to train. And all I did was just get in shape, and I quit studying. I went and I made the team in New York, man. I went on a tryout, and at the tryout, they pushed that contract across the table, and I couldn't believe it. Even though it was indoor and it wasn't where I'd always dreamt of being, like, I was completely done. I thought that semi-pro championship, that was a nice little cherry on top of my, disappointed soccer career.
Yeah, right. And that's when you came to the Rochester Lancers.
Correct. And that was the fall of 2011. I had just turned 30.
So at 30 years of age, after going through all of you went through to this point, which is a lot, to finally sit down at 30 years of age and sign a contract doing something you absolutely love doing more than anything else. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very special, man.
And that was with the Lancers, and we're going to get into a little bit of this because with Sam Fantuzzo,
yep,
who is one of the owners or the owner.
Well, he started out as one of 6. He was the majority owner, and there was a handful of others for 2 years. I think it was year 3, they jumped ship, and he just put it all on his back, and he was the only owner. I think for 2 seasons he was, maybe just 1.
When you went on this interview, did you have your shirt on or shirt off?
What interview?
When you had
soccer?
For the soccer trial, did you have your shirt on or shirt off?
Man, Soccer Sam wouldn't have cared. He's all about height. The coach would have had something to say, but yeah.
And we're gonna get, and I keep forgetting to tell the producer, but we're gonna take another break. We'll carry on while he's loaded up, and we're gonna take another music break, or are we gonna take a video break, producer? You let me know while we're talking. But there's a lot has happened when you signed this contract with Rochester. To me, I don't know if you ever seen this coming, or if you plan it this way. But when we get back from this, we're gonna play a video. Well, let me before we do this, okay? Elliot Fauske here did a video, and it's called Onesie Nation, okay? And I want to just get the producer, bear with me. I want to get into this a little bit because Onesie Nation is a phenomenon to me. And I think musicians and all other entertainers can learn something from this video. I really believe this because I have musicians who do drums. They're some of the best drummers, guitar players, singers, keyboardists, some of the best in the world. I mean, they really are at the top of their game. And they put out videos and try to sell records, and they have no luck. They'll put out a video, and it might get 1,000 views at best, okay? Now, this Onesie Nation video, Elliot Fauske put together out of the genius of his mind and how he's going to promote it. When I first look at this video, I'm just caught off guard. I'm going to be honest with you, like, I'm used to seeing a certain thing. Like I like the, the rock videos with the women and all this, and I like that's a kind of, I like seeing stunts and this and that, right? Elliot Fauske does Onesie Nation, and the day he drops it, it blows up. He has done more with this video than most musicians could ever dream of doing on an independent level. And it made me really wake up to see what's really happening with the YouTube world, the internet world, what they're interested in, to the point where it's got thousands and thousands of views in the very first few days. And then also little kids are remixing this video and sharing it with them. So let's take a break here. Here's Onesie Nation. Then we want you to comment on this when we come back from break. Onesie Nation, Elliot Fauske.
Yeah, you know what time it is. That's playoff time in the MASL, baby. You can't do it alone. You gotta unify. So that's what we mean when we're saying it's a Onesie Nation. Tacoma Stars. Once upon a time, a game was on the line. It happened in the playoffs, it was double overtime. The San Diego Sockers came around to take us down. I can't believe the season, man, they beat us in our hometown. Fans lost their mind, we're on the loser side. But with satellites among us, the Tacoma Stars will shine. Our season isn't over, we still got a chance to win it. With onesies and our game face on, we bout to get it. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we always at war, we don't take vacation. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we stand as one, that's our onesie motivation. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we always at war, we don't take vacation. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we stand as one, that's our onesie motivation. We don't mess with twosies, we don't mess with groupies. We strictly wear our onesies like the ones you see in movies. We startin' onesie wars, use our onesies like a Uzi. Tacoma Stars ain't backing down, we hot as a jacuzzi. If you ain't got a onesie, best turn in your resignation. A unified force fighting for a Onesie Nation. So who's that onesie warrior trying to build the inspiration? That's a Mohican Warrior for your information. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we always at war, we don't take vacation. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we stand as one, that's our onesie motivation. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we always at war, we don't take vacation. Onesie Nation, Onesie Nation, we stand as one, that's our onesie motivation. Onesie Nation, something sweet. Full body cover, fuzzy feet. Fight to the last breath, impress the masses. Tacoma Stars won't accept defeat.
Onesie Nation. Where's your one? You should have done this interview in a onesie.
Man, it's too warm out. I could throw one of them on, but yeah.
But that is, to me, that video is a great example of people, listen, they want something entertaining. And they, a lot of people might look at this video and say, what is this kid doing? And then all of a sudden you see thousands of views on this video and kids loving it. And so I'm going to go back, even, before we started the video, because something happened when you signed this contract with the Rochester Lancers, okay? This pro contract. And somewhere along the line, and because it does tie into this video, some came up where this character was created. And you want to elaborate on this character, what this character is called, and how it's about?
The Mohican Warrior. The
Mohican Warrior. Now, I was thinking it was created from all these things that happened way long ago, and you're like this warrior. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, because you've never told me how you created this name.
No, it's a complete joke, man. So I've been growing out my hair. I've always done dumb stuff to my hair at random, and this time I had grown my hair out, got bored of it, and just shaved the sides. My roommate's girlfriend shaved the sides in the kitchen one day, so I had this you know, just hair on top, no mullet flowing down the back, no hair on the sides. So I would wear it in a ponytail, a short little fountain ponytail, and everywhere I went and played, the opposing team would call me Pebbles. They'd be like calling me a chick and making fun of me and whatever. So then I was on a radio show in Rochester, and the DJ was, well, you know, Brother Weeze.
Yes.
And so Brother Weeze was like, you know, this raspy old voice. He's like, so man, what do you do? Throw that hair up in a ponytail when you play? Kind of flipping me some crap. And I was like, well, actually, yeah. And to make it sound tougher, you know, I was like, well, I like to think of it more as a Mohican Warrior look, because they used to go into battle with parts of their head shaved and they'd be all wild. And so that was me trying to like salvage, you know, the Pebbles image. And Soccer Sam Fantuzzo, our owner, was of course listening into the radio. And when he heard that, it's all over. You know him with his personality. I was labeled the Mohican Warrior. So
And Soccer Sam was also in the WWE wrestling, correct, at one point?
yeah, he was in the original WWF in the early 80s. He was Dr. Love.
Okay.
Chauvinist, womanizer character, and you loved him or hated him. And his wife was Nurse Nice Lips. You know, his lovely wife had to put up with him for a lot of years, man.
So he knew marketing.
Oh, he's a marketing genius, man. You
Yes.
know him from Salvatore's Pizza and does all his own marketing, and his mind is always going for that stuff. So he started calling me the Mohican Warrior, and then, you know, that was even before I mohawked my hair.
Right.
What had happened was some drunk dude at a bar thought I had a mohawk, stumbled up to me and was like, dude, I used to have a mohawk in high school, man. Yeah, and he was talking about his high school experience with a mohawk, and I just thought he was a drunk weirdo. And then later I was like, oh, he saw the sides of my head shaved. He thought I wore it in a mohawk sometimes. Right. So I just threw it up in a mohawk for practice one day, just to mess with my teammates and be funny, because they didn't know me that well. Still first year. They didn't know I was that weird. And so
your roommate knew that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the dudes had an idea. It was a little odd, but I was like, I was throwing for a loop, you know. So I just had the long spikes, and it was funny, and so I just decided to do it for the game the next day, and I slept in it and just wore it to the game the next day.
So spiked out, and everyone at home can see what we're talking about, but you have big, you know, thing sticking out, and everyone that's watching this right now can see it. But, you know, that's an amazing thing to me, because how this came about, it created this whole nother character, and I believe the Mohican Warrior also gave you a newfound love for marketing inside of the game.
Yeah, 100%. Because and then, like I said, the whole thing was an accident. Even the character was like, I just had the nickname, then I had the hair, and then
you know, played soccer at 30 years of age is an accident.
Yeah.
You know, everything.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, none of it was planned, man. Looking back, it's yeah, I was very grateful it fell into place like it did. And then, you know, I was looking at some WWF wrestler. I never watched it that close. As a kid, I watched a little bit, but the Ultimate Warrior, you know, he was a nut. He was just, his interviews, he was otherworldly. He was just so off base. So me and my Irish teammate, Gavin, we'd be joking around and imitating this dude, and I'd be going on these diatribes, ranting about the Warriors and indoor soccer. I'd be doing it in practice to be funny. And he's like, you know, you got to give that to Soccer Sam. He's like, you got to give him a halftime interview in character. So I told Soccer Sam, I was like, yeah, man, I've been messing around. I got something for you. Let's put me on the mic at halftime, because they always interview a player or two as we're exiting the field at halftime. Right. So I just went nutty on it for a second.
Do you remember what it was exactly you said?
We were playing Syracuse, our rivals, and it was the clash. It was a medieval clash of the Titans, because they're the Silver Knights. So they were knights, and we're the Lancers. So like these medieval armor guys. So Lancer Louis is our dragon. Our mascot is the happy blue dragon. So Lancer Louis was like leading our warriors into battle against the Silver Knights and over the great nation of Rochester. And I don't know, I might have talked about my warrior cave in that one. So like the whole like me living in a warrior cave was born in one of those first two videos. So that was live. That was just BSing. And then the next week I was like, man, I got to do it again. Sam wants it again.
So Sam, after Sam seen it once, he's like, he's licking his chops going, man, the kids are going to love this. This is going to keep kids interested in what we're doing here, right?
Well, and he loves it. He's interviewing me, and he's playing around, but he doesn't know what I'm going to say either. So he's like loving it.
Right.
Because it's off the cuff. And
so you're not rehearsing these?
Yeah, I mean, I rehearse them like a bit. Like I get a storyline in my head, but it never comes out the same twice. You're just kind of rolling with it.
So now Soccer Sam is like, do it again. Then after you did that, he's like, do it again.
So that was a couple halftime interviews, and then the season ended. It was like right at the end of the year.
Right.
That year. So then the next year, I sat out most of the year. I was injured. I hurt my head again. So I wasn't sure if I was going to play at all. He's like, dude, come back out. I'm going to keep you around. We're going to do this thing. Let me know if you can play again. Cool. So he just kept me around. So I was like, okay, I got to go in on this character a little more heavy if he's going to keep me around. So I was announcing our games live for radio and TV with Joe Giuliano, our regular play-by-play dude. And we had a ton of fun. And then I started making videos, in character videos, talking trash to our opponents is the Mohican Warrior, just to garner a little attention, gives people something to look forward to about the game and whatever.
Yeah, and what's funny about it is this character you developed, I've seen a lot of your videos, and I've been to one of your games, and let me tell you something. These fans go bananas over you and your character. Our fans are awesome, man. They love it. And to me, there's a lot of negative things going on in Rochester, New York. And one thing I loved about you, forget about soccer, what your character did for to motivate people in Rochester, New York, and the good vibe that it created, it was very special. You really had developed a serious love affair with the city of Rochester. Not just with the Lions, but just you personally developed a really nice love affair with them. And it was funny to me because I think some of the teams, when I was at, and hopefully nobody gets upset about this, but when I went to one of your games, I was in the back locker room, and you got the Mohawk, and it was Christmas time, and you have lights on it, Christmas lights on it, and I kind of seen some guys looking funny at you, like, this guy's a suck up to the owner or whatever, however they were looking at you. I wasn't seeing 100% respect. And when I went into the crowd and sat in the crowd and you came out, I looked around and I seen every kid just on the edge of their seats. They're throwing things in the crowd. They were so happy to see you and what you did for them. And it made me realize what those guys were all about. So not all those guys, just a few of them. They were about jealousy because you were actually making the best out of a situation. Literally, you made the best for your team, your owner, yourself, your fans. You made the best of a situation. For most people, when you're injured, you ride the bench. You know what I mean? So to me, you really developed a nice love affair with the fan, with a nice fan base here, and that's kind of a lot of the reason why I was kind of going right from the beginning, because a lot of people know, but I also want people to realize what one has to go through to get to certain things in life. Nothing was handed to you, nothing was given to you. If anything, everything was against you more than most. And so to go from your sister to the accident, to rejection in the games, to not being able to play, you're 30 years of age, and to make this many people so happy at the end of the day and inspire all these people, to me, round of applause. I mean, that to me is absolutely amazing. And a role model is just saying it lightly, to be honest with you. And I don't know how you feel about that role model situation, if you're good with that, or if that's what you want to do, or is it tough maintaining that, or you worry about your image on the outside of that? You know what I mean? Like, what goes into being a role model there, Elliot?
Man, a lot. It's like, I loved my experience with the Rochester fans. It's crazy. Like you said, that city embraced me like crazy, from news to radio to the fans and the kids, because the Mohawk, obviously the first appeal is for kids. They see, if they don't know who I am, it's Spiky everywhere I go. And, if they know my name, it's the Mohican Warrior. But in Rochester, I was in dozens and dozens of schools doing assemblies. And just because of my hairdo, you got the kids' attention and their respect, and you can reinforce good values that they might not want to hear from a parent or a teacher all the time. So we would do something called Eat Right, Treat Right, talking about eating right, treating their bodies right, being healthy. But the main thing I would try to focus on was not just anti-bullying, but just how to treat people in general, and ask them, how do you feel when someone's mean to you? Who's been made fun of? Raise your hand. Does that feel nice? What are some conflict resolution things you can do? And, once in a while, and that's off the cuff too. Like you said, I do mostly off the cuff. I don't really like to plan a lot. Sometimes I talk about my sister and her struggles and how she was made fun of and rejected, and
right.
you know, that resonates with kids. And so it was this stupid mohawk and a bunch of hairspray was able to give me a serious platform with youth.
Yeah.
And of course parents appreciate that, you know. And so it was like this whole, and then it's fun too, like I'm goofing off at the games, but yet I'm competitive on the field, you know. I'm trying to tear somebody's head off.
Yeah, I would think,
but then I'm goofing around, so like you're trying to balance that.
I would think that'd be strange as an opposing person seeing this guy up in the stands flying around and doing this with his hair, and then come on the field and he's complete opposite. He's like he's really a warrior on the field.
I would try to break his leg, man. I'd be like, what a douche, you know? Like, what are you, what's with the attention getting? And so I have to endure that. I'm a little self-conscious. I want to take my sport seriously, my craft, and be a competitor.
Yeah.
But at the minor league sport level, you got to put butts in the seats. So it's a business idea, you know, it's good for marketing. It's good for business. It's fun. It's fun for me. It's fun interaction. But then it's actually people on people. Like, it developed a lot of relationships for me. It's not just some shallow gimmicky thing.
Yeah.
It's really profound at the same time. So for me, it was an awesome experience. And as far as a role model, I want to be a role model. I feel like that's whatever I've been given, I want to do well with and give back. But at the same time, sometimes I feel false, like you said, to protect my image, in the sense that so many kids are watching me. They're on Facebook, Instagram, you know, I'm just public. Anybody can accept anybody, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to air out my dirty laundry, memoir style, you know. So yeah, now I have drank and I have, you know, dabble with drugs and different things, and that's not something I regularly do, but I definitely don't want to put that on social media because the kids who might see, I don't want them to think that that's cool and to influence their life in that direction. Not that I don't want to talk about it. Sometimes I want to be more vulnerable and be more open with my shortcomings, because people see that image and they're like, man, what a role model, what a guy doing all these things in community, this, that, and the other. But when it boils down, it's like, I know how imperfect I am.
Yeah.
I know that's not the image I fully want portrayed. You know, I want to be a good role model and I want to be genuine. I don't want to be false, but you got to protect, you know, little minds.
Well,
like,
I'll say this about you, knowing on you on a personal level: if you mess up, okay, no one's going to be harder on you than you. And
that was my depression, man.
yeah, no one's going to say you screwed up and crucify more than yourself. And I've witnessed it. I've seen when you do, and to be funny about it, like, you really don't do anything. Like, I'm trying to make it sound like you're going out and you're doing cocaine and getting drunk every. You don't do any of that stuff. Like, to me,
consistently, I have done those things.
You have tried it, but doesn't mean
it's never been a lifestyle. Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Like, for me, I said to myself before tonight's show, I've been doing radio and music for years. Like, this is the first show I've ever done without cussing. Like,
yeah.
I wonder,
when you're talking, it looks like you're chewing bubble gum, trying to like keep it all in there. that's coming out. You're looking for the euphemism.
But it's just about respect that I have for you and the fans that you have. At the end of the day, I don't need to cuss. You know what I mean? And that's how I figured. But you really walk the walk and talk the talk. Because every time you're concerned about, you know, what people may know about you or find out about you, I'm like, damn, that's like nothing compared to the things I've seen people do, and, you know, this and this and that. So to me, it really is, and you're not one to preach to people. That's what I love about you too, is because to me, there's nothing more annoying than some person coming up and preaching all kinds of crap to you. If people ask you, you're happy to tell them about certain things, but you're not walking around flyers saying this is how you got to live your life and this is how you should be. And that's a great way to get people to hear your message, because your message is pretty amazing. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not even sure if you're aware of your message at this point, but me knowing you as many times, you know, speaking to you as many times I have, you got a pretty incredible message. Like, I have no problem with you bringing you anywhere, buddy. You know, not at all. And especially being in the entertainment business, I'm not always proud to bring certain people around. You know what I mean? So, watching you at the stadiums, I brought my godson to the game, and how you interacted with him, and, you know, he's still talking about it. It was, what, 2 years ago? You know what I mean? Or something like that. It was a few years ago. So it's pretty amazing. But the biggest point that I love the most is you made the best out of every situation you were put into. You know, you didn't give up on your dreams. You might have stopped thinking about it for a while, but other things came up. But I think the reason why these opportunities were coming because of the respect that you've developed over the years with people. And I think how else is an opportunity like this come? You know what I mean? How else does it happen? It doesn't happen by mistake, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was always in the back of my mind because I was so frustrated that I never played. And I would get flashes of, man, maybe I'll get the motivation again to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I tried out in 2007 and 2010. You know, when I had the opportunities, when they presented themselves, I didn't go looking for it, but I tried to jump on it. I wasn't prepared in 07, so I was just working construction. I wasn't playing at all.
But you had an agent too, though, right?
No, not at that point.
No.
That was the random opportunity through the men's league with the Serbians. And then in 2010, I still didn't have an agent. When I went to Bosnia, my buddy just knew people who got me into the camp, you know, trying out with the team in Sarajevo. And I was more prepared then. I was more fit then, you know. Like I said, I got sick and just didn't want to be there, and I just bugged out. So there are other clubs I could have stayed and tried out for too, in Croatia as well. I had contacts there, but I always, in the back of my mind, I want to stay within 3 weeks of game fitness. That was always my thing. I was like, no matter what I'm doing in my life, I want to be 3 weeks away from being able to play competitively.
Yeah. How do you handle it when you're like out and about? Say you're in Rochester and you go to the local restaurant for breakfast, you know, lunch or dinner. Are people coming up to you, and does that annoy you when you're in the middle of something? Say you're on a date or whatever. Say you're in a meeting and you're eating out. Are people walking up to you and saying, "Yo, that's not," or they don't notice you because your hair is not up?
The chances of me being on a date and someone recognizing me at the same time. so
or just out to breakfast with your friends.
Yeah, I mean, in Rochester I got recognized quite a bit towards the end because at first the main notoriety outside of the soccer fans I got was for the Mohawk. So without the Mohawk, I'm anonymous, you know. But by the end, by my last year there, people had seen me on the news with or without the Mohawk. They'd seen enough of with and without that they could recognize me. So it started happening a lot more. And here in Seattle, it's a lot bigger demographic. I've only played here 1 year. Our following isn't as big as it was in Rochester either. So I'm more of a drop in the bucket. We have all the major league sports here pretty much. And Rochester, it's all minor league, you know, so you're revered more and it's more geared towards that.
But what you want, but I would think most.
But I love it. I love it, man. I'm not burned out on it. Of course, it can be inconvenient, but it's humbling. Like at the end of the day, if you can make someone's day by talking to them or signing an autograph, because I know when I was young what that meant to me.
Yeah.
And I look back and it was like, not, you know, people who were not famous, not even getting paid to play. There's a semi-pro team, and I was in junior high. I was their ball boy. You know, 5 years later, I played for that semi-pro team in Spokane, you know. But at the time, I was getting their autographs, and they were larger than life. And then a lot of those guys ended up being my teammates later. Are there
a lot of these soccer moms coming up to you, Elliot, and like they're not even thinking about the Warrior, you're thinking about Elliot Fauske? I mean, does that happen quite a bit?
I mean, what's quite a bit? I mean, I'm just kidding.
Much times during the season.
I mean, it's not overt, you know. You sense that sometimes,
right?
You know. There's look, man, women are, if they're single, they're looking for a dad for their kid. They're like, oh, he's good with kids. they let their imagination run. I'm like, man, I'm so far from being a parent. You don't want me.
Yeah, you know? I just find it hard to believe a lot of these guys in the league. I would think any pro sport that you're playing with, I would think you'd want to be more marketable and not just a player. I would think that you would have the motivation to want to do all kinds of things within that business. Like, do you believe, because I believe even though the Mohawk helped you, you still would have done something. You would have had a role other than just playing soccer with this team.
Well, it already was. You know, just the haircut alone without the Mohawk was distinct enough, because in the fans, you can't always tell everybody apart, but I had the shave size and the ponytail, so you at least knew who I was. And then my style of play was just real aggressive, you know, just always hassling people up and down the field, so it was eye-catching already. But yeah, I grew into it, man. I got more and more comfortable speaking in front of people, doing assemblies for kids and finding kind of my voice and what I wanted to do with it, instead of like, here's a team appearance, shoot, don't blow it. You know, I hope I'm not boring, to being like, this is an amazing opportunity. So I was already doing that before the hair came into play.
Well, even before you know, I think it was the end of last season, not the season just went by, but the season before. Then to that season, you went off to Africa.
Yeah.
You were teaching soccer over there. I mean, give us a little story about that. What happened?
Yeah, that was random too, man.
Yeah,
I love random
like,
stuff.
You don't understand. Like, I just don't think things are falling in your lap. I think you're just unaware of how hard you've been working and what you've been doing that are opening up these doors for you, because this isn't normal stuff, Elliot.
It's calculated random. You know what I mean? Like, I try to put myself in positions to be, you know, you want to be prepared that if something happened, you could do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I never wanted to totally lose my fitness, because I always knew there was random soccer tryouts available. So even though I wasn't pursuing it, I knew anything could happen.
Yeah.
For example. So yeah, I went to Africa because, you know, hurt my head again.
One-way ticket, by the way. One-way ticket. He calls me and tells me I'm going to Africa. I just better buy a one-way ticket. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. That was just last summer.
Last summer. Was it last summer or the summer before last?
No, it was just last summer.
Okay, last summer. Now my memory's gone.
Never mind. I was not hurt. I just wanted to do it. That's right. Okay. Right. So I just left, bought a one-way ticket, and I didn't know where to start. I knew I wanted to see something in Africa, so I just called friends and family, just looking for contacts. So a good friend of the family, kids I grew up with in the neighborhood, they had 7 daughters in a row and then 2 boys. They're like our playmates all growing up. Their aunt helped found an organization that puts thousands, I think it's 7,000 at a time, kids. They pay for their school fees, housing, feed them, everything out of real rough situations in Uganda. So this is a reunion camp because they mostly do grade school to junior high. So they brought the high schoolers back. So they go through the school through junior high, then they go back to where they're from. They continue to provide for their school fees because there they don't get free education. Public school comes with school fees. So that's a real privilege to even get to go to public school.
Yeah.
And so it's a high school reunion. So she just said, you got to come check out our new campus. You know, they got new buildings and by our standards, they're not extravagant by any means, but for them, this compound is amazing. You know, it has kids going to grade schoolers going to school there, living there. So these high schoolers converged, and I was, you know, trying to kind of coach these kids, but for the most part, they just want to play. They haven't played organized sports. A lot of them are barefoot or they're sharing shoes. You know, if I got a pair of shoes, you get one, I get one. And they're running around, playing their guts out, loving it.
Kicking an old ball.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the school provided some decent balls. You know, they're lucky if they get a ball. It's very rare. So I stayed with him, and he has a few young African guys who go around to villages and refugee camps and just kind of, you know, do humanitarian work and try to help out, and, you know, they share their faith and stuff. So I just bought dozens of soccer balls in the Capitol and just had them deflated, just had, you know, a big Santa sack, brought it up there and rode a bus up there. It was a 9-hour bus ride, just eating dust, man. You know, chicken pooped on my backpack on the bus, and you know, the
so
whole
you ride
nine.
with the chickens in the back of the truck.
Nah, it was a bus, man. They just bring them along.
Wow.
And you know, it's just different. You're buying food out the windows from vendors. They're holding up fresh cooked corn or meat, you know, skewered meat just off an open barbecue. So you're just buying. I'm like, I'll take that one. You know, I'm overpaying because I'm foreign. You know, they're giving me the high price, and I'm asking people on the bus, what should I be paying? What should I pay for this? So it was cool. And then I went up north, and that was cool but hard because the Sudanese refugees, their country, they've been at war for ages, and now they've got humanitarian aid from the UN, and they're just on welfare, international welfare, indefinitely. So these kids have been raised in that, so they don't really have a home.
Right.
And they can't really go back to whatever home is because they're still fighting, but they're not accepted in Uganda, and they can't get work permits. So they got to stay on the refugee camps, and they're, you know, they have a lot of tribalism, so they're violent within each other. You know, these little kids are fist fighting during our games.
Right.
I'm just dropping a ball, and, you know, they're playing, and they have teams. They'll form teams and leagues within the refugee camp, take a lot of pride in it. And if they can get any kind of jersey matching, that'd be a miracle. They don't even get that. Most of them can't even play with shoes. So, yeah, it was just a wild experience, man. So I was doing that.
Did you meet somebody while you were down there too that...
Well, that's where the more coaching came in, was on the internet. An old buddy, old friend of the family saw me on the internet. We hadn't seen each other in at least 15, 20 years. And he said, yo, man, if you're ever in Kenya, look up my soccer school. Well, I wasn't planning on going to Kenya until an owner in our indoor league of Detroit, Dominic Cicluna, he had recruited Africans before to come to colleges in the U.S. So he had Nigerians in Kenya trying out to come to the U.S. because this dude from Detroit has an African contact who he trusts in Kenya. So he told the Nigerians, if you want to impress me, you got to impress the dude in Kenya. So the Nigerians jumped to Kenya and they're trying out, and he asked me, can you go there? So then I go to Kenya to help evaluate players
wow.
to come to the U.S. to play indoor soccer for our rivals, Detroit, you know? So I'm recruiting for the enemy, but whatever, we're friends, you know? So I'm evaluating guys there, and that's when, so to jump back, my old American friend of the family said, hey, if you're ever in Kenya, go check my school out. I was like 3 hours from there. So then I went, after evaluating those guys, the Nigerians in Kenya, along with some Kenyan soccer players. Then I went and did a couple of days of coaching for a mentoring program. They use soccer to keep kids out of trouble.
So how you were, when you were giving these lessons, the trade-off was you teach our kids soccer, we'll give you a place to stay for free and food. And that's what you were doing it for, basically. That was compensation.
Yeah, but
you would have done it regardless. But
that didn't always happen. You know, by the end, I was just paying my own way.
Right.
By our standards, it's cheaper to stay, it's cheaper to eat, and their resources are limited. So in Kenya, I accepted a little bit of help. But from then on, it was, Africa can be hard to get the details right, and there's miscommunications, and the guy showed up without enough money. And out of the money they were supposed to bring and pay those dudes, they were going to cover my hotel. So I was like, don't worry about it, Well, I
remember you were calling me one time. You were not really nervous, but you were like, look, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I don't have cell phone access. I don't have Wi-Fi access. Like, if something happened to me, nobody would ever know for a while.
Yeah.
And then you give me stories about not much electricity there, only at nighttime.
Well, in the north of Uganda, there was generator power. Like, they had just gotten a solar panel.
Right.
Put in like the year before, that year. Up till then, they didn't even have. So they would cool their fridge down like part of the day and just leave it closed. And no hot water, no running water. Taking showers, just cupfuls of water out of a bucket. And we're talking hot, dusty, man. And it wasn't even the hot season, dude.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Hot and dusty, and that wasn't even their dry season yet.
You were telling me they wanted to give you a net to sleep with, and you're like, nah, I don't need no net. And then
then I needed the net. Then I needed the net, dude.
Yeah.
No, oh man, the mosquitoes are getting me.
The second the light goes on, that's where all the bugs go, and that's right where you were, right?
Man, yeah. So it wasn't always really bad, but there were times where if you didn't have a bug net, man, I don't know how you could sleep. In your ears, just bugging you, just want to punch somebody, but they're so tiny. There's no satisfaction, like, squashed a bug, and then there's 100 more, big deal, like, driving me crazy, man.
So that experience had to be pretty eye-opening for you as far as, realizing, well, a couple things, how bad off people are in life, how good we have it over here. I mean, you had to come to that conclusion at some point. Like, man, I'm really, no matter what happens to me, I'm lucky to be who I am and where I'm at.
Yeah, there's a target on your head when you're over there and you're foreign, especially being white, because you're immediately different.
Yeah.
And immediately you're a billionaire, co-billionaire by their standards. And it's true. You can be like, oh, I'm not rich. You are. I am.
If you have $1,000 in the bank, you're rich.
Man, you're beyond rich. It's crazy. They don't have running water. A lot of people, most don't have hot water. If you have electricity, if you're that lucky, the whole power grid can shut down for days at a time, unannounced. If you have a business, I know a kid, he's got a hair salon, no business that week, no power, nothing we can do about it.
Wow.
And that's privileged people. You know what I mean? That's not talking about the mud huts, whole families sleeping in one little 8x8 mud hut, barely eating, let alone medical, school, any of that. And so when they see you, man, if you can panhandle a tourist, get a few bucks, that's better than working for a week.
So you can't leave your bag down when you go out. You got to bring everything that you have with you.
Yeah, well, here and there, when there's money to be made, they'll protect tourists like anywhere if you're in a touristy area. But yeah, there are places where it was up for grabs, man. I would keep my cell phone with me because that was my access to the internet, and that was my main thing, my passport if I had to. But I left my bag, and a lot of people are trustworthy and they're not taking advantage. But if you're in the cities where they have experience with tourists, you're smoked. You know, you are hunted. Everyone's, you know, begging, lying, hustling, and you don't know who to help. And you can help people, but you can't help everybody. So you're constantly having to decide, do I turn this person away who's in need? Do I help this one? And so it's very taxing emotionally.
Wow.
But if you get outside of the city, they're like, sit down, come to my home, have this cup of tea. They don't have anything, man, like dirt floors, nothing. And they're treating you like royalty. I went to this village, brought a soccer ball and was playing with their team there. Because they like try to have a team. You know, it's just men from a village. It's like no shirts, no
just
shoes.
Like you, no shirts?
Yeah, man, I love it. You know, I need a little more sunscreen than they did. But
plenty of them saying, would you like to marry my daughter?
Nah, man. Nah, I didn't.
My daughter home with you.
No, but some of those girls are definitely, you know, it's an opportunity, man.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
And yeah, so. Yeah, it was tough all around, man, because you're a target, you want to help, but then, you know, I joke, I'm like, I finally figured out what it felt like to be a hot chick, and like, I felt bad for any girl I'd ever hit on, because
right.
It's like, you know, if you're a hot chick, you go around, and I need to know where something is in the store, it's like, oh, excuse me, you know, past 3 people to get to the hot chick, do you know where milk is? You know?
Yeah, right.
Hot girls are always hassled their whole life, and I felt like that in Africa where, you know, people are opportunistic, and I would be the same way, I'm sure, in their position.
Yeah.
But it's tough. They're always angling, and so people will be so genuine and loving, and then ask you for something, and then someone will be genuine and loving and not ask you for something, or maybe they are genuine and care about you, but then they really are in need.
Yeah.
You know, and and who do you know, and which story do you believe? So that was tough on me, man. I actually got really burned out. You know, partway through my trip with that, but.
So, you know, going there, now you're coming back. You're coming back to the States. You were gone for what, a month? You were gone longer.
3 months. I was in Africa 3 months. I was in Spain like a week before that.
When you got back from your trip from Africa, you went back to the team. The team, I think,
folded.
Did you play that season, and then at the end of that season?
Yeah, after Africa, the Lancers folded maybe while I was in Africa.
Right. So
maybe before, I forget the timing. I think I was in Africa when the team announced it was folding.
And what was crazy about that team folding to me is they were leading the league in attendance. They were the only, I think maybe one.
By a long shot.
Yeah, one of the only. What was the average attendance every home game?
Last year was average 7,000.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
A couple times we got over 10. So for that league, minor league sports, that's popping. That's really good.
And they were turning a profit every year. And the owner, and I give it all the.
They were break even. You know what I mean? Like, which is really hard to do in sports.
Right. But the owner, Soccer Sam Fantuzzo, he really had something special going on here, and he put his heart and soul into it. And he was absolutely heartbroken when the league fell apart.
Yeah, the insurance was funny. There was a lot of details, whatever. The money and the time and the headache just didn't make sense anymore to him. Yeah. You know, he loved it. He's sick about losing the team. He was, like you said, heart and soul, passion. The most dedicated. He still calls me up or texts me with ideas to give to my team, marketing ideas, you know. And
that's amazing too, because mostly he cared about the people more than he cared about anything else.
Yeah, the people and the product you give him is very important to him.
Yeah,
for sure. He's a relationship guy, he's a community guy, you know, family guy, old Italian. You know, his parents were immigrants, so he likes that big Italian family, all included. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this then: what's next for Elliot Fauske? Because you know, this contract that you signed that you really love playing here in Rochester. What's next? What's next for Elliot Fauske? You can still be the Warrior, or what are you going to do?
Well, I came home. You know, the Lancers folded, and I got offered a contract to play in Tacoma, which is outside of Seattle. And I was born and raised in Seattle. All my relatives are here, except for my immediate family. So I played 1 season here. I signed a 1-year contract. I'm always year to year, man. I don't plan too far out. I like leaving room for spontaneity. I don't know what the future holds. You know, I'm planning on continuing to play indoor for the time being. You know,
is it more taxing now on your body than it was at 30? I mean, are you?
Oh yeah, night and day. Yeah. Every year it just takes more effort to stay feeling good. You know, more ice baths, paying for more sports massages, doing more stretching, more muscle balancing, strengthening exercises. You know, just keeping it right, man.
You ever see yourself coaching a professional team at some point in your life, in your career?
Maybe indoor. Maybe an indoor team. I have no desire at this point. But like I said, I don't plan anything. Stranger things have happened. But at this point, I could see myself being interested in maybe coaching an indoor team because I love the game. I love the sport. And I don't have a lot of confidence in my ability. I've been in the league 5 years, but I always second-guess myself and tend to look at other people like they have more knowledge than me. But I'm confident I could do it. You know, if you have the right people around you. There's things I hate to do, which the administrative portion, I don't like the paperwork and the details and the endless emails and meetings and insurance and blah, blah, blah. So if I had a together front office and I could just be the coach, I think I could see that happen. But you end up wearing a lot of hats. Like here in Tacoma, our coach is our GM as well. And that man is so busy. You know, it's...
When you say insurance, but you have to... Does the team supply you with health insurance? You have to have your own health insurance coming in.
It's foggy. It's well, I keep my own personal health insurance always. I just pay private. I just want that.
Right.
Peace of mind. With the team, technically, it's like any job, I believe. You know, if you get hurt on the job, they have to cover it. But to save money, they sign you as an independent contractor now. You know, so there's different, because like Sam, he couldn't keep the costs down anymore. Insurance in New York was nutty. You know, they're just jabbing.
Well, that's
heavily.
a big reason why they folded, correct?
It is the principal reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep up with the cost of the inflating insurance.
Yeah, man. It was going to be over $300,000 in a year. Just before you pay a single person of your staff, team, anything.
That's crazy to me.
It was over $250,000. That's going into it.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
It's like, how can you just go lose that kind of money for a hobby that takes up a lot of your time and a lot of energy?
Yeah, yeah. So you know, right now you just finished the season. You went into the playoffs. You guys lost in the playoffs.
Correct.
And now you're coaching soccer, correct?
Yeah, we got team housing through the end of this month, so I just booked a lot of coaching.
Right.
Just to try to save as much money as I can before I decide to travel again or whatever. Whether it's outside the country or in the U.S. You know, I'm going to pop to Rochester, man, and see all you guys and catch up. I got to do that. And I'd like that. Well, for an extended visit, you know, a little more than a vacation.
Sam offered you a job at all his pizza stores and said, you know, I want you to go around to our pizza stores and promoting them.
I can do a sliced pizza with my hair, like
sure.
I mean,
spin it on the top of your head, you know. I don't know. I mean, that guy just loves you. That's why I just at some point.
If it's fun, I would love to do marketing with him, man. We have a ton of fun together, and his ideas are nutty, and I have my own little creative vein. You know, he's brainstorming like 1,000,000 miles a minute. You know, he's an insomniac practically because his brain won't shut off, and he's got so many ideas. It darn near keeps him awake all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, I have a little different flavor, a little different vein, but it complements him well, you know? And so he likes my stuff, and I'm just floored by the stuff he comes up with, you know? His marketing cracks me up every time.
I'm really looking forward to be honest with you, because I really don't know what to expect from you. I'm not sure what you're going to do, but I'm sure of one thing. It is going to be very exciting. You're going to be doing something that I would have never thought of in a million years that you would have ever be doing, and I'm going to see you doing it. I don't know what it is. I don't know. You could be a pilot of a plane. I don't know what you're going to be, what you're going to do with you know.
I don't know either. So if you hear something,
I know it's going to be something special. That's for sure, because you do have the power of influence. There's no question about it. No denying it. You know, you're very good at what you do and everything you do. Because you put a lot of effort into it, and that's one thing that I really appreciated. I was really sad when you left Rochester, and it wasn't because of, you know, I'm never going to see you again, because I remember you come over to say goodbye to me. I was like, man, get out of here, we're going to see each other again. I was more sad that the people of Rochester are going to miss you. That's kind of, to be honest with you, that's what really kind of bummed me out. I was like, you know, these people really love this kid, and to me, You know, I'm sure me and everyone else in Rochester, like I still follow your social media, and they're still going crazy. We miss you. We love. It's like almost like you're still here. That's how much of a positive influence you had on people. So, you know, I know that positive influence just doesn't lie in soccer. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was so sad to leave, man, and not for my own sake, because I like change. I was excited for a change, to be honest. I'd been to Rochester 4 seasons in a row, and again, I only come for half the year, right? I only come play half the year, then I leave, so I wasn't there year round. But it was special. It was like the boys are back in town. Here they come. We would converge from all over the world. Nearly half our team was from foreign countries, and in another quarter was out of state, you know, a handful of local guys. So it was always like, here we come for the season, then we're gone. And it was this fun, like, reuniting and then until next time feeling. And this time it was permanent, you know? And it is sad for the people there who, especially the kids, were so invested. We had such dedicated fans. And like you had mentioned, it's not just the sport. It's not like, oh, now we can't watch soccer. It was only 10 home games a year. You know what I mean? It wasn't like dominating their life in that sense, but it was so many appearances, so many hangouts. I mean, people would bring us food to our house. Yeah. Or make us spent more time in schools than you did the field, really.
Yeah, it was really special, you know. And so
enjoyed it. Nobody had a gun to you saying you have to do this. It's not in your contract saying you have to make so many appearances. This is something you really wanted to do.
Yeah, it was fulfilling. I was grateful for the opportunity. And so yeah, for the people, man, I feel really bad that team isn't there, because they did have a unifying element, you know, in the community. Now, you said you signed a 1-year contract with the team you played with this last season. Are you going back to them? Are you going somewhere else? Or you not decided yet? Or contract? I mean, I talked to the coach. He'd like me back. I told him that was my plan, but you know, until pen's to paper, I don't count my chicks before they hatch.
Right.
He's got to get the budget from our owner, and then he's going to start contacting players. He said that would happen the 8th. So what's that? Sometime this weekend.
Tomorrow.
That's tomorrow?
Yeah.
I live in the bubble.
now, when you get these contracts going and stuff, you have an agent, or is this just strictly you?
I have an agent.
So does he get a big cut of it?
Nah, man, my agent's cool. He's not doing it for the money.
Right.
The money he makes on me, man. He's an attorney and he has his own law firm. The money he gets for an hour of work, man, the hours he has to put in for me, I owe him a lot more. He's a good dude. He represents me to the fullest because he's a mentor.
I would think a lot of teams would probably be coming at you just for your marketing capabilities alone. I would think that there's other teams in the league. Maybe they're not coming out, but they definitely have to have their eye on you, I would think.
I've had teams reach out to me, but I missed my last year in Rochester. I missed almost a whole year from a head injury. Mm-hmm. People hear that and they get skittish, you know. I know some teams had mentioned that they weren't interested because of that. That's an injury that you can't really measure, you know, whether you're back from or not.
Right.
So I scared people off, you know. I was thankful that Tacoma took a chance on me, and yeah, it is what it is, man.
So we'll know in the next couple of days whether you're playing Tacoma, somewhere else, or retiring, or what not.
Yeah, right. I know in short order.
I mean, to me, like I said, I would think there'd be like a bidding war, minus the head injuries, just the marketing capabilities. I would think, especially on this level, I mean, you bring a lot of value to any franchise you go to, and I'm not even talking about your soccer playing. That's just to me, that's a bonus. The value you bring to a franchise.
Yeah, it hasn't. I know a lot of owners get a kick out of it, and as long as I was at Rochester talked about folding, and 2 teams that reached out to me in that interim.
Wow.
The year before they actually folded. So, but I had come off my best year. You know, yeah. I played really well, and so there was interest. But
you're a pest on the field. That's what you are. You're a pest.
Yeah, man. I tell my kids I coach, I'm like, you want to make this dude's life miserable. You know, like your job is to make him miserable, man. You're always there.
Get this way.
Get in his head. Get him paranoid. Like every time he's about to touch that ball, man, he doesn't know where you are.
Yeah, I just see you. To be honest with you, I don't know, professionally speaking, I just know whatever you do, you're always going to be traveling. I just don't see you sitting still for long. At least not at this moment in life, anyhow, you know?
Yeah, I haven't signed a lease in years. I try to stay mobile, man. You know, I pop into team housing and then I'm kind of couch surfing, traveling, something.
I mean, listen, I wish I could do it. I really do. I wish I could, you know, have your physique, your looks, your age, your youth, and go do all these wonderful things and go follow your dreams and your goals in your life. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. You know, so, well, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, the main reason, you know, getting you on here today is I want people to recognize what one would go through to get to a certain point in life. Like, you know, I think a lot of being in the entertainment business that I'm in, a lot of times over the years, they see people at the top and they think that they just walk there. And they don't realize a story that goes along with getting there. And it, you know, you're a perfect example of what when one would have to go through to get to certain things in life and accomplish certain goals. And, you know, to me, the rest is up to you. I mean, you just apply that same thing to whatever else you want to do, and voila, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe strongly in guidance, too. I feel like my life has been guided.
Yeah.
And, so I don't feel like I can take a lot of credit for it. I just try to remain open and tap into what is already set for you in a way.
Yeah.
So I think most people have desires in them and dreams and goals, and they weren't put there by themselves.
Yeah.
I really believe since I was a kid, since before I had any intellectual conceptualization or whatever, I couldn't picture anything beyond being a kid, but I always felt like I was going to be in front of audiences speaking. And I wanted to be a pro athlete that used that for something positive, because I would see inspirational pro athletes doing a lot of giving back. And I wanted that as a kid, and I believed I could do it, which is weird because I was ignorant. I didn't know what it took. I didn't know. I was just confident I could be a pro athlete. I knew I could be one.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wanted to be a pro baseball and football player. You know, I'm not big enough to be a kicker in football these days. You know?
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. Really. I don't know if I told you, but I wanted to be professional. I was very good as a kid. And that's one thing I can always kick myself in the butt for, is never really taking that next step or never really applying myself the way I really thought I was capable. But I also, my parents weren't ones to say, yeah, go after it. My friends were, you know, all my friends were getting high back in the woods. You know, I was playing baseball. And so I didn't really have people to push me and motivate me. But I always think about it to this day, man. I would have been a good ball, because I was very, very competitive, you know, just like yourself. I'm still very competitive. I don't like to lose at anything. I don't care if it's, you know, walking to the store. I want to beat the person. I want to be the first person in the door. You know,
we should get together and walk to the store sometime.
Play some tennis. That's what I'll do. I'll play you in some tennis.
I'll beat you at tennis.
Okay, I've heard that before.
Are you decent at tennis?
I'm not bad. The producer that is producing the show is a very good tennis player. Played in college.
He might beat me.
And I took it to him. I took it to him. But I will say this.
Can I say his name?
Who?
Is he like anonymous?
Cyber Narcotics?
Cyber, dude. You can't let this dude Mike beat you at tennis, because I know I can beat you then.
Yeah, but no, listen. Now, but you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
I was beating him. He hasn't played in many, many years at this point, right? Okay. But the only reason why I can say I beat him is because he just started getting fired up and we stopped playing. Now, if this game went on another hour, I wouldn't have even scored another point, because he just started getting a serve on, and his serve was like a professional serve that you see on television. So I won't say, I just say I beat him. I dominated him in the very beginning.
Don't play him again, dude. Tired.
But he wound up spanking me at the end of the day. But I'll play you in tennis, Elliot.
I'll beat you that. I don't care. I'm less competitive the older I get, but there are certain things I do not want to lose at, and racket sports is one of them. I haven't done them a lot, but I'm naturally decent, and I hate losing at ping pong, pickleball, tennis, anything. I hardly play it, but man.
Well, when you come back into Rochester, because we're going to have to get going here, when you come back into Rochester, if you have a racket, a tennis racket, or if you have a ping pong paddle, I want you to bring it with you.
I don't own the gear, dude. I just show up, take names, brother.
Loser has to do something.
Yeah, we'll come up with something.
But listen,
equally embarrassing for for one is the other.
Yeah, I really appreciate your time tonight. And I really hope, you know, like I said, I know there's a lot of people wondering about you. You left a serious fan base behind here, and I hope people come away with something. And, you know, I appreciate your time. It's been awesome. If you have any shout outs, you want to say thank yous to anybody or whatever it may be, do it now. Tell them where to go find your sites and all that other stuff.
Okay, well, I want to thank you. I appreciate the show and you digging in. We do this a lot off record.
Yeah.
But, no, and you're inspirational to me too, man, with your show. So, you know, it's something I want to get more into is, you know, internet influential stuff. So we started the website with Cyber, and so that's ElliotFauske.com. You know, I started doing a written blog, but that's not really going to be my vein. It's hard to travel and write. There's no Wi-Fi, and, you know, I want to live in the moment. I don't want to go home and have to do homework writing about it. So I'm going to do a little more video blogging. So I just started a YouTube channel. I already uploaded all my past promo Mohican Warrior videos and me talking stupid and having fun.
Yeah, you could go see him in the videos that he's posting. You could see he's in character 100%. This you're not going to see this guy that you're looking at right now when you go to the videos. You're going to see the character of the Mohawk and everything else. What's that address?
For what? The YouTube?
For the YouTube channel.
Man, I just opened it. What do we got it under? I just changed it. I think it's just my name. Maybe my last name. I think it's Fauske. Go to the Fauske channel, man. I don't know. Go to YouTube and put in Elliot Fauske. I don't know.
What's your Facebook?
That's why you're inspirational to me, man. You got a name for your show. That's inspirational.
What's your Facebook handle?
My name, Elliot Fauske, is pretty much everything. Elliot Fauske, Instagram, Elliot Fauske, Facebook. Twitter is Fauske8. But you can look it up by my name, right? But,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just Elliot Fauske is
Google
everything.
His name, bing his name, whatever you want to do. Look up Elliot Fauske, stay in touch with him. I have a feeling he's going to be keeping people way more informed with what's going on with him in the near future. So, you know.
Once I learn this technology and get the name.
You got it, buddy. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
I appreciate you guys.
All right, thanks, man.
Yep, peace.
Marketing, production, and publishing.
One love, one peace. That's all we need. One love, one peace. That's all we need. I said one love, one peace. That's all we need. One love, one peace. That's all we need. Give it to the saxophone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give it to the saxophone.